Well, let's get started with episode 277 of the Current Gen podcast. Thank God it's not just me again. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Last week, just my face and voice. That must have been pretty hard.
He was
But you
holding
made
the
it
front
through.
lines down.
You're
Holding the
still
front
here.
lines.
Now, Kyle has rejoined me. He came to save the day. And Kyle, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here almost every single week between you and Dan, helping to make sure there's not any episodes like that until now, up to episode 276. That's pretty impressive. We've kept it
Yeah,
afloat for
it's
that long.
and very impressive that you decided to do it. Like that, I think that's great because we were talking off air. I would have been crippled by like I don't know about this. So thank you
Yeah,
for doing that.
there was a lot to respond to, right? There's stuff that we kind of skipped the week before because we really took a deep dive into like the state
Yeah,
of play and into uh, something else. I forget now what we went over. But then I went over the Summer Games Fest, did my best to kind of represent what I think you and Dan would have been excited about. But the ultimate thing is, and I said this on the show last week too, the ultimate thing is as these games either get some other big news bump because there's a new headline about it or are actually released, that's when you'll really get what we think about. Same thing with the indie games. Like I felt
yeah,
bad not taking a deep dive into all those. There's so many, and I got to tell you, a lot of them look really interesting and really cool.
yeah.
But we'll just wait until they're in early access or released, and we'll try them, and then we'll give you our thoughts when we actually play them. Because that would have been like a 5-hour show trying to go
Well, when
over
I
the
felt the
indie
same way about
world.
the
So
PC game show too, where I'm just like, there was two
yeah,
hours and it was a lot of great games, and I'm like, how
yeah,
do you talk about the whole weekend,
that's
or
right.
week and a half or whatever, in a 2.5 hour podcast? Like, it's just not going to
Yep.
fit.
One of the things
But
I
yeah,
did go through, I don't know if you watched it, but the Future Games Summer Showcase had some pretty good stuff. Did you go through that one at all? The Future Games
that's
one?
the last one I need to get to. I have that on my
Okay.
playlist still.
Some pretty
That was
cool
pretty good.
stuff. Like the one I
Yeah.
sent to you guys, like the Sacrifier, that new Pixel 3D JRPG coming out next year,
Oh
looks
yeah.
really good. There's a follow up to that Call of the Sea game that's called Call of the Elder Gods. It's that
Oh
narrative
cool.
puzzle adventure style. So like,
Nice.
and hurdling, of course, which has already been announced, but we got to see more of that. That looks super cozy and fun. But anyway, so they did have a bunch of good games. One of my favorites though was this Bureau of Fantastical and Arcane Affairs, where you're an
Yeah.
inspector in a fantasy world of like villain layers. Like they have to be
I'm
up to
in.
code.
That sounds great.
Sounds like a
They have to be up
simulator
to
game
code.
meets like
Yeah.
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I picture like a clipboard, and you're like, "Yep, you failed
I'm pretty
that."
sure that's what's happening. Yeah.
I'm
From
in.
the trailer, it looked like you were literally going in and inspecting and like, you're not supposed to keep the bones here, or like whatever the things are that they're
Oh,
not supposed to be doing.
I don't, dude. Something woke up in me this year where I'm like all in on sim games, and I don't know who I am anymore. I just don't know what's going on. I think it was about
Yeah.
like the 10,000th booster pack I picked, like in trading card game
Oh yeah.
store or whatever. I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. So there's something sick in me. I don't know why I like this type of
There's a
stuff.
lot of weird, like really crappy spin-offs of that look
The
almost like it's that, but
on
that's
on the
not.
Switch, it's like a copied assets,
Yeah.
horrible version of it. That's like not the same game that everyone got tricked into buying. And
Dude.
I have to make a
Nintendo got to do something about
no,
this for
I
real.
have to make a like statement because I said some things about the eShop the week of the Switch launch episode that are just not true. So
Yeah.
much shovelware, so much bullshit. They didn't do anything to fix any of it.
Dude.
I think you got a
Yeah.
you got a couple of days where like the best sellers were all like Switch 2 games, and I think I got
That's right.
tricked by that.
Yeah. It
And
looked clean
then
and good at first, but I'm with you. Like the
yeah,
wave, because I've been checking it in my excitement to play this system more and more.
yeah.
I'm really hoping that they update games like Two Point Hospital and Museum because I want to use mouse controls for those games. Like those are the kind
Oh,
of
cool.
I'm looking out for that kind of stuff. And it's just you have to dig through so much complete garbage. And I'm like, how is Nintendo letting this
I'm
happen?
just
I don't get it.
shocked that it's
Yeah.
like this. Like the only thing I can see to like filter that stuff out is just like go by price. So like just like anything that's
I
$20 and
guess.
over,
Yeah.
like show it to me, and
Yeah.
maybe you'll knock out some of those like $5 to $2 crappy games. But even then, I shouldn't have to
Well, the
do that.
problem
Stop making
is
me take steps.
I know. I know. The problem with that too is like I actually just made a purchase that I'm hoping to play tonight. I mean, I bought it last night. That Potion Alchemist Simulator game,
Oh,
you know, which
on
sounds kind of
Switch.
fun, but it's like $7 on the Switch.
Oh,
So
see,
I
if
was
you
like,
would have cut that out, yeah.
yeah, I think it's normally 20, but it was down to 7. It's got somewhere in like the 7 to 8 out of 10 range overall reviews. I just looked at the art. The art style looks like almost like Pentiment in a way, like kind of painterly a little bit, but you're
Yeah.
collecting materials and making potions. Anyway, I just thought I'd give that one a try. Plus, it was less than $10.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, there's so much garbage, and you're right. You called it out. You were like, yeah, the strategy seems to be launch your game at $10, but it launches at 80% off, so that way
Yeah.
everyone sees it for like $2.
Right.
And it seems to
Day
be
one.
indefinitely on sale. Like it's on sale for a long time
Yeah.
at that price.
Like Nintendo has to program that. Like, like you guys are
Yeah.
complicit completely.
It
If
makes me curious to get on there and like create a store, like get on there as a vendor and see what the storefront experience is like as
oh,
someone who's
I'm not
selling a
in. Yeah.
game. Like I'm curious if it's like, if is it really easy? Is it like selling on Amazon? Is it that simple and straightforward, or is it more like involved and these companies are taking like
I
going
might
through the
be wrong on
process?
this, but my memory of like summer games of arcade, like on Xbox 360 era, it's like you would hear through the grapevine that it's like it took a lot to like get your game approved and up
Yeah,
on the storefront. And like I think that's true. Memories are stories we just
right.
tell ourselves. Ultimately.
Well
So
said. Well said. Yeah.
but like I feel like that was the case. Let's go back to that. Like I feel like there should be who
Yeah.
like someone should have to play the game and make sure
Also,
it's a
just
working game.
hire
Yeah,
someone to be the
outsource it.
review, like to have like a human eyeball on this thing to be like, this is
Yeah.
garbage. This is
You
not
can
going through.
start by using AI. That's right. I said it. I said the
You
bad
really
word.
could. You could filter
You can
out probably
start
90% of this with AI.
yeah.
Like
And
this is
then
clearly
do a
baked.
human touch on a second run or a touch on a second run, but like
Yeah.
this doesn't need to be Steam. And this goes for PlayStation too. Like their
Yeah.
storefront is just as bad sometimes. So it's like a little cleaner than Nintendo. A lot, I would say, cleaner than Nintendo, but still, an offender of
Yeah.
this. And it's just like I don't know. We need to go back to the old days, which that's how I felt all week as like a cranky old man. Let's just go back to how it was, Tim. Come on.
I know, man. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm loving the Switch though, man. Like I'm it's one of those things where and we talked about this a few weeks back before it came out as our hype was building. And it was like, man, I'm the most vulnerable right now. Like I'm ready to buy
Yeah,
anything on the
not a lot of
Switch,
games, man.
Like I'm ready to purchase and
Segments.
repurchase. Like if they were to I just saw this cool news story about the Lies of P developer as Overture helped them hit a new sales milestone, that DLC that
Mm.
just launched. They had a new sales milestone, so they gave everyone a bunch of days off, and every staff person got a Nintendo Switch too,
It's like
and like
two
they
weeks
all
off. Like it's a
yeah.
lot of time. Yeah,
It's the kind of thing that everyone looks. I'm sure developers look at that and go, "Why can't I work at a place like that?" You know what I mean? Like I'm sure it's
yeah.
that kind of thing because they seem to really appreciate their
The
staff, or at least
biggest
this
good guy
gesture.
news.
Yeah,
It's
it
the
does
biggest
feel
good guy
that
move
way.
you can. But yeah, Switch 2 for everybody. I mean, that's
Switch
not.
2, and then I was like,
That's
dude, Lies of P, I think it could run on a Switch 2. It probably wouldn't
yeah.
look as good, but I feel like it could run on there. So then, of course, in my head, I go, well, I already own it, but I'd buy it again because
Yeah.
I'm in that mode. I'm still weak to purchases on that
It might be
platform.
another couple months of me being completely weak. I don't know. Like
It might
I'm
be.
I'm about to buy like all the old Nintendo Switch games that I didn't get. That are about to get like 4K re-releases,
Yes,
like
dude.
Kirby and like these are games that I like actively didn't play for whatever reason, and now I'm like, sure, second time around, why not? Let's grab them. So yeah, I'm all Super
Why
Mario. I
not?
skipped I skipped Mario Party. Let's grab that one. Jamboree. Who cares? Yeah, let's do a
Dude, I actually think
Mario.
I'm gonna get that because I haven't played Mario Party in a good minute,
Yeah,
and
it's a good family game. Yeah, you gotta.
yeah, real good family game. It looks like it's fun. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm right
it
there
looks
with you. I'll
cool.
buy that one. I'm. Hey, let's talk about. Let me pull up the Donkey Kong video real quick. Let's talk about
Oh
Donkey
yeah.
Kong for a second.
Oh,
So
that
Donkey
direct was
Kong
so great.
Bonanza. Let me see if I can pull up the
The
direct
official
here.
prequel to Mario Odyssey. That's not true, but we're gonna say it anyway.
I mean, kind of feels that way a little
A
bit.
singing Pauline who's young. I mean, come on, this is absolutely new Donk City. Is if he's mayor at the end of this game, it's gonna be dope. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. While I'm pulling this up, first of all, did you get a chance to watch the whole thing? Do you kind of skim
I
through
did.
stuff like this when it's
No, I
one
went.
game?
Well, it's perfect whenever these things hit at like 7 in the morning Mountain Time because that's right when my
Yeah.
butt's hitting my seat at work, and like work doesn't really begin, for like the first hour or so because it's so early in the morning. People don't really start showing up until like 8 or so, and so it's the perfect time for stuff to come out. And I usually just watch it like live. I got a couple buddies that are on my staff who are big gamers too, so we all just like crowd around a screen and watch these dumb things. So
Yep.
I watched the whole thing. It was great. I really enjoyed what they showed.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I think we got it mostly ready. It's a little weirdly sized though. Hang on. I showed it to my kids too, by the way. I was like,
Or what did
"Hey,
they
check it
think?
out, new Donkey Kong game." And they were super hyped. They were like, "This reminds me of Odyssey." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
it's probably the team. Yeah, they still won't say, but yeah, you know what's cool about Donkey Kong is that we just don't get a lot of Donkey Kong games, especially 3D ones. Like it's just
right.
this. It feels big. I know there are Game Scoop curmudgeons out there who would love to just
Mm,
say that this game just doesn't look interesting to me, but I do think it's Nintendo monumental to have a 3D Donkey Kong game because we
I
just
think
don't get
so."
it that often. It's the same thing as getting
Yeah,
like a Metroid Prime 4. Like it's just like you don't wow, we're getting this stuff. This is great. Like I
yeah.
don't know, something to celebrate. You
The
know,
I think the animation looks really good. Like whether or not
I
it's
think it
your,
looks great.
I think that technically it looks really nice. I'm
His
sure it's
fur
gonna
looks
run
great.
super
Like
smooth.
it looks, and you know
Hmm.
it's going to be optimized. Like you know it is. Like it
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I don't know if you went back and have thrown on Mario Odyssey since the Switch 2 has come out,
I
but
have
like
not.
playing that game at 60 frames per second in
Ooh, I
4K,
need to do that.
it's a completely different experience. And it's one of those free updates that
Dang.
like they didn't celebrate. They're just like, yeah, there it is. So I mean, like this is like that's what this is gonna feel like, you know. Like we're gonna actually be
It's
playing a
so
Nintendo
is it
game.
almost like when you played Astrobot where you're like, "Dude,
That's what it
this
felt
is
like. I was
a
like,
new
yeah, this. I was
platformer."
like, oh, okay. Well, see, now this is better than Astrobot. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I know it
Yeah.
always was, you
Hey,
know. But for me,
Astrobot, you were great, but Mario
in
Odyssey
my
is still the
mind,
king.
yeah,
Yeah.
in Kyle's
Yeah.
mind, when Astrobot was a little bit like now at 60, like it does feel good, you know. You
Yeah.
can tell, like it just if platformers and things are supposed to be smooth at 60 frames, you know, like and it
Yeah.
just it felt perfect. And this is gonna feel
Yeah.
like that. And it's
I
so
think
cute.
so
Like
too.
everything about it is so adorable. Like
I
it's
know. And they even have this thing. I thought you were gonna have the little sidekick Oddrock, but this is when they introduced the fact that it's actually part of the larger Mario universe, I guess, because it's Pauline, the singer
yeah,
from Mario Odyssey. But it's a
yeah,
younger Pauline because she's wanting to get into singing. She's not a
yeah.
big city singer yet. She's like a little teenager. So anyway, she's gonna ride up on DK's shoulder and help give him additional powers through singing and all that kind of stuff. And I liked how they showed this in the video too. Really easy to add in a second player. Reminded me of Mario Galaxy when a second player could collect
Yeah.
gems and do those kind of things with the Wiimote. But you can kind of do some looks like some pretty significant stuff with two player. See if I can
Mhm.
find it. The two player stuff was interesting to me. Oh, there's
Yeah,
challenge
I love it.
courses. Yep.
There's some like yeah, side scrolling levels and just the way that like he has to like throw things to like solve puzzles. I don't know. I mean, it just looks so interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there was I can't remember where it was, but there was a part where they did show how the
Like
second
she's
player
like
can do a bunch
talking
of
or
damage.
singing, right? Like
Yeah,
words that are like
yeah,
attacking people. Yeah.
yep, yeah. There's a little skill tree in here too. I mean, again, it's very lightweight, but there's a skill
he
tree to upgrade things, which is
he can
fun.
turn into other animals. You know, that was
Yeah,
pretty.
that's
That
right.
was pretty wacky. Yeah.
So like think about Donkey Kong Country. There's Rambi. Like you would be able to
Yeah.
ride on these
Randy's fun.
certain creatures to get through certain parts of the level or find secrets, whatever. So I like that they incorporated that here, but in this case, it's yeah, but you're absorbing the powers of these giant sleeping uh,
Yeah.
gods or whatever they are, these deities.
Most most importantly, they showed a mine cart level, and those are my
They
favorite
did.
levels
That's
in any
right.
Donkey Kong Country game. Is like 'cause they're just ridiculous. They're just too hard, but so fun. It's
Dude,
all
I love
memory,
the
baby.
mine cart and the
Yeah.
music too. I don't know if you heard. I don't have it on right now,
Mhm.
but the music definitely pulling from Donkey Kong Country. Like there was several
Yeah,
moments where I was like, that is straight from DKC. And I love that. I think that's fantastic.
yeah.
I
We're
can't
gonna.
remember where the minecart part was, but they definitely showed some minecart stuff. They showed how the
They
upgrades would
did.
work. You could find all the secrets. Reminded me a little bit of
Look at this.
DK64, which wasn't my favorite, but I did like it. I had fun with it.
That's
Um,
how I feel as well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it definitely wasn't the best one.
yeah. I know people
But
love
lots
it,
to
you
collect.
know, but yeah. And I like the DK rap, which you get a
Hmm.
little bit of that in this too. You get a
Mm-hmm.
little throwback to that, which is great.
Yep.
But
Plenty
yeah, it
of
looks like
collectibles.
you can destroy tons of stuff. You can dig almost
Yeah,
anywhere. It seemed like, which
yeah,
gives me anxiety already. What am I missing underground? What? How do I know to dig? When?
yeah.
But it's it's a kids game. You know they'll
It's
figure
a
out how to
they'll
telegraph all
tell
that
you,
stuff.
and also I
Yeah,
think the scanner stuff will help you out a lot. And in certain
yeah,
ground, they said certain um terrain is going to be more difficult than others, so you won't be able to dig very
Yeah,
far in ground
right,
that they don't want
right.
you to
Which
dig
is
in.
nice, and like they're gonna have
Yeah,
a visual cue of telegraphing that super easily, and like I
yeah,
love the video game language of Nintendo.
yeah,
It's so like you can just look at someone playing the game for like just a few minutes and automatically understand all the rules and everything like that. And
yep,
I think they've always been really good at that. And yeah,
yep. I mean,
this
they even
this
added
I
this
don't know,
like this little gear boosts where you put on these things and they give you like increased chance to treasure chest will appear, swimming speed, sonar
that's cool.
range. Like your different outfits will help you as
You
you're
can change
exploring.
the color of your Kong too to like any color on the
Yeah,
fly.
that's right. That's right. Reminds me of playing two-player Street Fighter when you play like Blanca and he'd be a different color than the green. You're like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks weird as blue.
Yeah. What the heck? Yeah. So I thought this stuff. I just thought this game looked like a lot of fun. I'm super pumped for it. It.
Me too.
This to me, when I think of summertime gaming as a kid, I think of stuff like this. It's just a really fun adventure. It kind of just reminds me of being a kid and having summer break or any kind of break from school where you could just wake up and keep playing your platforming adventure game that you're
Yeah.
playing.
It
Yeah.
it also, and I know this isn't a launch title game, but it's a launch window game. It's coming out like a month after or whatever. But like it is nice to play like a big platformer 3D thing. It's very Nintendo. Again, it's Super Mario
Yeah.
Sunshine. It's Super Mario Galaxy or whatever. Like
Right.
it feels right, to have a game like
Yep.
this right as the game. And we're getting it sooner than we got Odyssey, like where we
Yep.
kind of had to wait for a while, to get Odyssey until like October of that year or whatever. So it's just nice and it feels good, to play one of these mascot, games like right away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is one of the ones that's going to actually have game share to even Switch One systems if you want,
That's
which
cool.
is great. So you can use the mouse controls to aim as Pauline if you
There it
want to
is.
on this a
Yeah.
second player, or you can share to a Switch One if they don't even own the game, or a Switch Two if they don't own the game. Uh, the game chat. I wonder how long if they'll be like Xbox with Connect and eventually just stop talking about game chat
They're
because you
gonna
realize
stop
no one
talking
cares.
about it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of like the old Funhouse crew, like Lawrence and Bruce and stuff like that, and Alana and everybody. They were playing a huge collective party of Mario Kart, and like some people were using the chat or whatever, and like just seeing that camera at like 10 frames a second, with
Oof.
people's
It's rough.
it was just so funny to me, and I was like, this can't be what they thought. You know what I mean? Like this can't be how they envisioned this, where it's just like we're gonna bring everybody together 10 frames a
Yeah.
second.
Like you guys weren't trying to do this, right?
No,
I
yeah, I feel like they like this is because I think they said it was in beta for the first year or whatever. Like by the end of this, it has to be higher res. It just has to be. Like maybe they're
It's got to
doing it
be.
low res or something to not like crash servers, or I don't know. This is just my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I there's just no way that they thought that this was like, I don't know, the way that they wanted to do it. Like, yeah, it's
Agreed.
choppy, it's weird looking, but I'm glad they have onboard chat. Like, I'm glad you don't
Yeah.
have to like pull up like you're pulling up the app, and like I never would have played online with anybody on the original
Yeah.
Switch. Like it's just the amount of I have to get on my phone and get on Discord rather than I would get on a Nintendo app. So I'm just glad it's on
Yep.
board now, which is nice.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. They talk about amiibo support. So of course with the amiibos you can get all different kinds of items that can help you in your quests. It
That's
seems like it
cool.
says all amiibos will work with it. I assume it's just some of them will give you like the ice ball you can throw to melt
Yeah.
to get rid of lava or whatever. Or they'll give you items or costumes or something. But I like the amiibo support. I like the multiplayer that they've added. It feels to me like they've really put their best team on this. I could be wrong. Maybe they
Yeah.
didn't, but it just feels like top tier
No,
Nintendo
this feels
effort.
top tier to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad they're still doing amiibos too. I know they're doing like a Pauline Donkey Kong amiibo. I don't collect all the
Mm-hmm.
amiibos. I was like, you're only allowed to get Zelda ones. That's what I told. That was the agreement I had with myself.
Yeah.
But like, I am glad that they're continuing that because I know they do really well, and collectibles are fun, and like having them
Yep.
interact with games still. Like they really took like everything about the Switch and we're just like, we're gonna do that more, all of it.
Yep.
Like just keep on doing that. And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
I'm 2 weeks in and still enjoying, what their foundation is that they're building this new console off of. Again, I'm pumped
Agreed.
for this. Like this looks so fun. Like this,
It does. And there
so
was a little
bright and
clip here where
colorful.
it showed I could have sworn it was Diddy and Dixie in a cart. Don't know if that was multiplayer or part of a special level. Like in a cart in front of
Yeah,
you at one point here. Pretty
that
sure.
big old boy.
Or maybe I might have not gone back far enough. There was a spot where it looked like them going through something. Oh, there's the minecart. Oh, there you go. See,
Oh yeah, they're right there. Yeah, they're on the Rhino. Yeah,
they were on
that looked
Ramby.
cool.
Yeah.
Ramby, there you go.
So I'm not sure what that is, but anyway, I'm very much looking forward to this. Of course, the idea of it is that you're going down to the center of the Earth, and so each layer you go to is a world like this, where you've got ice or beaches or whatever, forests, and yeah, somehow sky, but whatever. It's video games, so
It's Hollow Earth
oh,
theory. Nintendo is
exactly. And
are
with
they're
DK, it
Hollow
makes sense.
Earthers. I didn't know you knew.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they really
yeah,
just stole the whole idea from the new King Kong movies, and just here we are. That's what we're
yeah,
doing.
yeah. So I'm pretty pumped for this, man. I liked that direct a lot. I thought it was a good way to build hype for a major release of theirs. I understand it's not a Zelda game or a Mario game, but it looks to be, in my opinion, doing all the right things as far as like
Yeah,
how do we get people excited about this new system? How do we get families playing it and keep kids especially interested? Because that's of course the main target audience is really truly the whole family, right? They'll get people like you and
yeah,
me as like full grown working adults who like to play this thing sitting on a couch or laying in bed or whatever, or taking a crap, whatever our thing is,
yeah.
right?
All of it. All
But
sometimes at the same time. You know,
sometimes at the same time, all those things, and
all
sometimes
those things.
it's they're sometimes they're just targeting the younger kids, and they want the kids to stay engaged and keep playing.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, I did notice. I actually haven't tried it with Mario Odyssey. Speaking of Switch 2 upgrades, I did notice some improvements. I just tried firing up a few random games here and there, and things just seem smoother. And I can't tell if it's me wanting it to be smoother in every case, or sometimes that's pretty clear. But like for example, I don't know that there's anything official on like Dead Cells, but I tried it on the Switch 2, and I was like, feels much smoother. I don't know if it was
So
bad before. I thought it was great, but
Tim, I did a little digging,
okay,
and
okay.
yeah, and a lot of games that are on Nintendo are at an uncapped frame rate. So them just naturally playing on better hardware,
It
you
already
are
is going to boost it up.
actually getting 40 to 60 frames for a lot of these games. So it's like a lot of, and I don't know, if that's normal to do, like whenever you're making a game and putting it on a storefront, like it's just, if it's just like, yeah, it's going to be uncapped and it just plays at whatever it plays at. But like that, apparently it was a blessing in disguise, because now a lot of these games that, again, we were talking about it the last time we were talking too, it's just like, I think these games are just playing better and smoother with no update. And they actually are, because they were
Dang.
coded or developed with no frame rate cap in mind.
So any game
Um,
that maybe has a purposeful frame rate cap, maybe to like help the performance and make it feel
yeah.
consistent, which I think there's a good argument for that. Those are the ones that aren't going to have a good example of that
Yes.
is I do have Dark Souls 1 remastered, and I was doing some like, oh, maybe I'll give that a try to see, because it was really chuggy and not great on the Switch one. Maybe not chuggy
Yeah.
is the right word, but it just chunky wasn't, anyway, whatever. But I know there's nothing official from FromSoft on an upgrade. There's been no patch or update there. So I fired it up and it still didn't look amazing. I was like, okay, not even just look amazing, but it still didn't run in a way that made me
Hmm.
think, ooh, this is super smooth. And it turns out, as far as I know, if I read this correctly, I'm pretty sure that one is capped at 30. Again,
A lot, and some
going for
games
that
are. Yeah.
going for that consistent uh, frame rate, which that to me does make sense. But I'm wondering, okay, for those that are capped, I wonder, will they issue an update? Do they care? I guess it depends
Maybe.
on the game and the
Yeah.
company.
I imagine Witcher is probably the same way. I didn't fire that one up, but like I bet you they capped that bad boy just so you could run that thing like a slug on that system. So
Hmm.
so I think there are games that again were always just maybe a little too big for the Switch's britches, that are probably going to be the ones that are capped and like aren't going to receive like this kind of like feel update, we'll call it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, there was one new game that I've played, Kyle, that I just now remembered that I tried. But before I do that, why don't you? You said you played one new game this week.
I did.
Why don't you
Yeah.
go first?
It's
Since we don't
cheating.
really
It's a new
have good.
it's
Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
it's a new old game, so it's a
Oh wait, hang
remaster.
on, hang on. A new old game. What was
Yeah.
remastered this week? Oh, is it the Atlas one?
Yeah, yeah. It's a Persona or Shin Megami Tensei adjacent thing, because of course it is. You're talking to me. So, but yeah, it's on PS2. It was called Devil Summoner, but now it is called
That title rings a bell.
yeah, yeah. I got the. Sorry, hold on. God damn it. Here we go. I got the collector's edition way back in the day. and like it came with
Oh,
this guy,
whoa.
and I've had him on my wall forever, and like that's
Since
like
the
the guy's
PS2
suit.
one?
PS2, yeah, it came with this little plushie, a little Jack Frost in the RAIDOU outfit or whatever, and basically it's like a specialized police force. The Devil Summoners are like a specialized police force that investigate and like extinguish demons. Yeah, really cool character design. The game looks very good. Like this is a PS2 game, mind you. This is a very remastered game. It did not look like this, you know.
This trailer, by the way, is the Switch 2. This is the Nintendo's trailer for the
That's
Switch
where
2
I got it
version of
on.
it.
Yeah, it's on everything, but like you and me are deep in it. I have to have things for the Switch right now.
I've heard things are running really well on it, like new games, like the
This
games
is
like
running
this.
good, dude. Yeah, third party games are running great on it. You know, I know they're not selling
Yeah,
great according to data, but like the console
right.
did just come out, so
Except
you
for
know, chill.
Cyberpunk, apparently, which is selling great.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about that later. I've got a lot of thoughts to
Yeah.
say about that. But
Okay.
this game is fun, and I really liked this game back in the day, and I was shocked to see that it was coming out in a remaster. Like I was just like, what? This didn't sell well, you know.
Yeah.
Very cool. It's kind of Devil May Cry, you know, maybe not as like fluid or
Oh, okay.
combo-y, but
I was
it
just
is
gonna
a
ask,
like
what's the combat
more of a
feel like? Okay.
character action game, not really a turn-based game at all. You still have like party
Right.
members, and you kind of have control over them. You're leveling up, they're leveling up. You're capturing new demons
You're
and
summoning things, right?
recruiting them and summoning them. Yeah,
Yeah.
so um, yeah,
Ew.
devil summoner. You know, that's what it used to be
What was that
called.
lady chicken all about? That was weird.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of weird. It's very Shimigami. It's very Persona. You know, there's a lot of
Yeah.
weird, stuff going on in this. But it's. I remember liking this game a lot, and I'm very
Yeah.
excited to jump back into it. I only played like 45 minutes to an hour, so I don't have a lot to say about it. But it
Okay.
feels good. You know, the combat's fun. You know, it is a nice change of pace. You know, I'm still in the middle of Persona 3 remake. Persona 4 remake apparently is looming over us, coming out soon. It is nice to like
Yeah.
not have to play a turn-based game right now in that universe. And
Okay.
it's a nice reminder that like they were taking a lot of shots back then. Like they were really trying to make this brand work or whatever. And this is very experimental and very fun. And if you're into this universe at all, like you absolutely go check this out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a good time. So that's my new game this week. But I'm interested to play more. I remember the story being kind of fun. It's like a detective type of story, you know. And I think every episode was like a new case, you know, and then there's kind of an overarching story, but like
Well, it was
you
like a
kind of get
TV
like
show
vignette
in a
stories.
way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I do like that. I just again I love like the art style. I think I see Rasputin back there. I don't remember him being in the game, but maybe he was the bad guy all along. I have my memory of this game is so fuzzy. So interested to play it again, see if it rings any bells as I'm going through
Nice.
it.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one too. This is a good one for me to experiment with when it's on sale. I don't know that I'll buy it full price, but I'm thinking
Yeah,
about it when it goes on
this
sale.
doesn't have all that like persona fluff either, where everyone's like talking at each
Yeah.
other for hours and hours. So it's
Yeah.
like this is like an all gameplay type of game with like just your basic RPG levels of just like dialogue and stuff like that.
Okay.
Not almost visual novel esque like Persona can get sometimes.
Oh yeah, big time.
This is definitely
Well,
a
one
little
that I
more
did
gameplay.
try, Kyle, and I'm reminded now why I prefer offline single player adventures where you can go at your own pace, sometimes faster, sometimes slow, whatever. Like I'm usually, and I don't really always like the overly competitive feeling. Now, that, of course, every once in a while, I'll get that itch and I'll play things like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 out of nowhere for like a month straight. And that's all I care about, right? That happened last year. That's
Yeah.
fun. Or I'll get onto, and it's been a few years, but I'll get into like a Rocket League kick or one of those games that I just really liked and I'll just try getting online and playing again. Just doesn't happen very often. And I don't think it's going to happen again here, but I do want to say that the developers of Sifu have made a really interesting soccer game
Cool.
called Rematch that just came out. It's a really short trailer for it. I'll just show it just so you guys can see the visuals for it. But it's the Sifu developers, and when you see their faces in the cutscenes, you actually can see it. You're like, oh yeah, that's
Okay.
the Sifu
Yeah.
devs for sure. But they've created what I think is a surprisingly in-depth soccer game, but it's over the shoulder, third person, and some like to me, I think it's just the kind of thing that's going to take a while. You'd have to take a lot of time to really learn the nuances of accurate passing, keeping the camera centered, and when to take a shot. Like you actually have a reticule. You see right there, right here. There's actually an
Mm.
aimer in the middle, and you use your R2 to shoot, and you hold for power, and then you use your
Oh wow.
the analog stick for if you want to curve it, like bend it like Beckham or whatever like that. So there's a lot to it, and you actually are aiming where you want to shoot it and where you want to pass it, which is fine. But I got into an online game and I was
Oof.
so bad. Like I let so many easy goals go past me, and I missed like open passes. Now it wasn't just me; other players you could tell were also at that newbie level,
Hmm.
and a bunch of us were stinking. But two or three of the players on there were good, and you could tell they were so frustrated. They're like, "Come on,
Yeah, come on,
sorry,
guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sorry."
People get really good at these very quickly in a way that I'm just like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do
but
you
it
think
is.
this is kind of going after that Rocket League crowd? Because it kind of
I
looks like
think so.
Rocket, like on the
It
ground
definitely
Rocket
has
League.
Rocket League vibes, like everything from the beginning where there's a little countdown to the start, and
Yeah.
but it definitely has some surprisingly in-depth soccer things. Everything from because you do all these tutorials, and everything from when you have the ball, if they slide tackle you and you still have it quote unquote in your possession, it's much easier for them to get it away from you. But if you've done this little, I forget that what the term they use, the phrase, it's like a kick ahead or something. If you tap A when you have the ball, you'll actually kick it ahead of you, and technically you don't have it in your possession anymore. So you kind of, if you get slide tackled, they won't take the ball from you because you've kind of kicked it ahead a little bit. So these little
Okay.
touches that when you're playing soccer, it totally makes sense. It's like, yeah, you're actually kind of a lead pass to yourself in a way because you're trying to like go this direction, and someone has an angle on you and they're coming in from the side. You just kick it ahead a little bit and they might slide tackle you, but you can just jump right over it and keep going. So those kind of
Hmm.
things were cool. There's all these little touches, and there's I think some potential there if you really like soccer and if you really like online games. There's some cool stuff here. It is on Game Pass, so you can try it
Makes
out
it
there.
easy.
I think normally it's $30 full price elsewhere. So it's not like it's a ripoff. There's a lot of content there, but it is online. Like you have this really cool kind of cinematic opening with who you imagine is your main player, your main character that you're going to be leveling up,
So
uh,
you do level
and
up.
they've been
Okay.
moved to a new team and they're struggling, and so then you go into these tutorials where you're learning and getting better, and you see these montages of them getting better, but then it just throws you into the menu to like join a match, quick play, or ranked or whatever. It's like, oh, okay. So those are your options. There's not a career mode. If there were, I'd probably actually keep playing. I would try the career
Yeah.
mode a little bit, but anyway, it's kind of
Did it
cool.
look like you like unlock like customization, like new
Oh
shirts
yeah,
and new, yeah, a lot of
oh
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah. I think
personality. Okay.
hairdos and different skins you can get, like all that stuff's definitely there, and things you can unlock. If there's an in-game currency, it wasn't really shoved into my face at the beginning, but I did see there were some things you could go purchase. It's not free to play, so I don't think that's going to be super egregious. I think most of it is
Hmm.
unlocked as you play
That's cool.
and
Yeah.
as you level up. So anyway, so yeah, rematch is out. I remember we talked about that when it was announced. We're like, Sifu's next game is a soccer game, kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
remember.
Rocket
Yeah. I
League.
was
Okay,
like, what?
yeah, a little odd, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
It's not like I wasn't like this is garbage at all, but it was still a little surprising that that was the game that they made. So
Well,
anyway,
especially because they led with like the follow up to Sifu. It's like, all right, cool. Let's check it out. And then
right?
yeah, it's a soccer game. Yeah, and they're like, okay.
It's like, oh, that's what this
That's
is.
cool. I hope
Okay,
it takes off though. There's not a lot of games in that space, that like Rocket League kind of operates like on its own. There's not a lot of
yeah,
competition in that space. And not that this is a direct competition, but like it kind of fills that gap of like online team based, quick matched, unlocky, type of experience. Which there's room for that type of stuff. It's not. It's
yep.
not like the. It's not like releasing another character action or not a character action game, a hero shooter type of game, not another
Hmm.
Concord or something like that. It's not a crowded market.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. Well, I did want to highlight this one just because Steam has a fishing fest going on right now, which I wouldn't say that a majority of fishing games I'll play, but I am kind of like, ooh, that could be fun because in the past I have really gotten into some, or sometimes I'll get really into certain fishing mechanics within certain games. Like I love the Red Dead Redemption 2
Yeah,
fishing and Sea of Thieves fishing, and there's certain
Ocarina of
fishing
Time. I
games.
think I spent dozens of hours just fishing in
So
that
much
game.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much time fishing. Well, there's this game that's out. It looks super cozy, and of course, you know us here. We like this kind of art style. This is called Cast and Chill, and it's got
Oh,
this pixelated art style. How pretty is that with the layers of the
that is
pixelated backgrounds and
beautiful.
stuff?
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
And you got your
Look at that
dog in your
water.
little boat with you. You got your little you
Yeah.
got a different types of dogs you can take with you. This
Choose
is
your
Kyle, by
dog.
the way, on the weekends. This is what he does. He gets out there
This is
and
what I do. Yeah, I
yeah,
take my beard and flannel shirt and go out to the woods and explore.
that's right. But there was like yeah, there was like shops and stuff. I think there's upgrades. Yeah, there you go. There's things you can purchase.
Look at that
So
guy. Look how detailed he. Like it's so the art style's
I
so
know.
good.
I know. I love it. I love detailed pixel art like this. But then
Same.
yeah, you like it looks like there's plenty of depth to it in terms of like lures and locations and I don't actually know if it plays super well. The um current reviews on Steam are 93% after like 1200 reviews, which is really good.
Hmm.
So overall, I think it's probably positive. This throws me back like the one time I did really get into a fishing game was on the Game Boy. They had a game it was like Bass Pro Fishing or something like that. And I remember I played it a lot on the old Game Boy, and I loved it. Um,
Hmm.
so once you get into the groove of some games like this, they can really hook you. So anyway, the art style of this just caught me. I thought it was worth sharing. A
This
nice
is
cozy
incredible.
game,
No.
cast and chill, if that's what you're into, which I am. Look, it even says cozy idle
Cozy
fishing.
idle fishing. There it is. Yeah.
So I don't know if idle means that it's the kind of thing that you literally have open on the side of your screen and you don't like. I don't know what that means. Um, Cozy, idle,
It's
and active fishing game is what the description says.
that's
Weird.
yeah. I don't know what they mean by that, but yeah,
I
it
don't
looks
either.
cool. Yeah.
I have a feeling it is probably one of those things that's got an idle element to it where you don't have to have
Hmm.
it taken over your screen the whole time. Weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So there's that one. Was there anything else, Kyle, that you know of at least that is new or new-ish that's worth highlighting?
No, not off the top of my head. No, slow release week this week, which is good. I don't. We
I
don't
did see
always
there
need.
was a let's call it a homage as opposed to ripoff of Gravity Rush called Metro Gravity. Have you heard of this
Oh,
one?
real? I love Gravity Rush. No, I haven't heard of this. That's cool.
I'll bring this one up too.
I
Oh, and
love.
also Supermarket Simulator hit 1.0. Dan's talked about this one a bit, but
Oh,
that one is
I
now in
will pick that up
1.0.
now. I didn't know that went to
Yeah.
1.0. I'll pick that up now. Yeah, I don't like to get those games too early. Even the collectible card shop game. I got that. That's still in alpha, not alpha, but in pre-release. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of end game. Once you get like far into it, so it's like I
Yeah.
like to kind of catch these games at 1.0. So I'll pick this up. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sell some
it's down
produce.
to $15 on sale right now if you want to get Supermarket Simulator.
Yeah, I'm buying
So,
that right when we get off. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
1.0 just launched because we are simulation idiots right now. It's like we're like, hey, what real
I'm
life thing can I pretend to do on my
I'm
computer?
thinking we turn this whole podcast into a simulation lovers
Current sim?
podcast.
I'm in,
Current
dude.
sim. Yeah,
I'm super in.
yeah.
All right, here is Metro Gravity. They're not even trying to pretend like
Oh,
they're not. It's a lot. It's
this
not
looks
as
great.
sharp. It's got
Yeah,
this pixel style to it, but it's definitely Gravity Rush in terms of the way that you flip your orientation and the way you're jumping and flying around. It looks a lot
yeah.
like
Rhythmic
Gravity Rush to
combat,
me.
sure. This is absolutely Gravity Rush, which Gravity
Right.
Rush rocked. Like if you owned a PSP or a Vita and you didn't play these games, like why did you even own that system? But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they re-released them on consoles too at some point. But
I think so
go
too.
play those games; they're so good. This looks great. I like this.
Yeah, I
Pick
thought
this
this
up
one looked
too.
kind of cool. Again, very positive reviews so far on Steam.
Bring it to
So there you go.
Switch.
Metro. I know for real.
Bring it
Bring your
all to
games to Switch
Switch.
too.
Can I get Supermarket
Metro
Simulator on Switch, please? That'd be great.
Gravity, dude. So I've looked. Speaking of sim games on the Switch, I've looked, and there's a few. Like I like my Power Wash Simulator, but I don't need to play that again on there.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a few. But for example, like there's a game I'm playing right now on PC a lot. I'll talk about later, Car Mechanic Simulator. But I was looking for that on the Switch, and all they have are like either these weird spin-off versions or like a pocket editions that look like they're made for mobile. So I don't know if these companies were just trying to put out the smaller, cheaper version of these things on Switch or what. Um, but yeah, they're I don't know what are good legit sim games and what are weird AI shovelware ripoffs. I can't
Yeah,
tell.
if it's on Switch, you need to do some digging for sure. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
pull the trigger on any of those because, again, like they'll release them like verbatim the same name, same title, same font, same box art, everything. Like it's kind of crazy that they get away with that. So got to be
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah.
And even games like Gas Station Simulator, which is the real game from the real developer, like it just runs like crap. and I don't think a Switch 2 is going to make it run much better because it's already so low res and just so compromised in terms of like bringing a game that has a lot of moving mechanics onto hardware like the original Switch. So I don't think there's a lot of sims to grab yet, but I bet the Switch 2 will be able to run a lot of these games that are doing really
I
well
would think so. I
on
would think
Steam.
so.
It's a
I
better piece
think
of
the gas
hardware now.
station simulator might be on that one might be on Switch. That's
It
a fun
is.
one.
It is, but like I was saying, it's low res and it's compromised the version of it
Oh,
to
I
make
see.
it
I
run
see. I
on
see.
Switch. There's a lot of moving parts in that game that make
Yeah.
it like kind of tough to run, really. And
Yeah.
it just
Which is
didn't never
surprising
really
because
run
they
well on the
seem
Switch.
so like simple and old
Yeah,
school in
you would
so
think
many
so, but
ways.
like there's just so many. Even on PC, like I'll play that game and it will just crash because too many things are going on. Like on a high
Yeah,
end
or I'll hear
PC.
my PC
Yeah.
really kick on the fans. I'm like,
Oh
really? You're
yeah.
having trouble with
Yeah.
this one? Like,
Right.
what?
Yeah. Thanks for the optimization. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
sometimes those games, my computer does get hot while playing the collectible card game shop. It is
yeah.
like if I'm running for a long time, it's just like, hey, guy,
I
like,
think sometimes it has to. People talk about optimization. I sometimes think it has to do with optimizing the game, not to be so draining on the resources, of
hmm
course. But also, I think sometimes these games are surprisingly
yeah.
demanding. With
There
what
is a lot of
they
like
need.
macros and stuff going on with all the people coming into your store and all the items being removed individually, and just there's a lot of stuff going on under the hood with those games. Again, like it's
Yeah.
easy to just be like, oh, these games are just kind of like low effort games, but they're not. I'm sure they're a nightmare to develop, to be honest.
Well, Kyle, let's stick to the kind of retro, in case you haven't heard of it, type thing with this game called Chronicles of the Wolf, which just came out. Have you heard of this one?
No, cool
It's
name
a
though.
very old school Castlevania looking thing
Oh, look at
where
this.
you
This is
are
Castlevania.
yeah, you step into the boots of Matteo Lombardo in this epic adventure feeding brutal bosses, vast castles and secrets to uncover, and you're hunting werewolves basically. So
Oh man,
this
this
looks
is
this
cool.
looks cool. Yeah. Of
Oh
course,
yeah,
travel by day.
I'm super into this. What was this one called? Chronicles of the
It's
Wolf.
Chronicles of the Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. Got a lot of
Yeah.
Steam
Looks
wish
pretty fun.
listing tonight.
Just came out. And it's on Switch too. Huh?
Is
It's on
it?
Switch. It's on Switch.
Guess who's getting bought?
Now I'm seeing this sign right here. It says coming 2025. I'm pretty sure I actually have seen this one on the eShop now that I'm thinking about it.
Uh huh.
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's there.
Okay. Great.
So there you go. Chronicles of the Wolf. There's another recommendation. Yeah, as far as stuff that we're playing now though, speaking of sim games, dude, I fired up because I was thinking of getting the car dealer game, but I keep reading the user reviews on it, and the general consensus is that once you hit a certain point, then all of a sudden the fun of it just dives off a cliff because like the
Yeah.
progression just kind of takes. And I get that. I think in a sim game that can happen with any of those, which is actually okay. Like if you get a good dozen hours or so out of a $20 sim game, I think that's pretty good.
I think so
You
too.
don't have to get totally addicted to it and never stop playing it, like Power Wash Simulator or something stupid.
Yeah.
That
I
being
like that.
said,
I
as
like there be an end to. Okay,
I
this is
do
fully
too.
automated. I'll walk away. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So I still might grab that one, but because of that, I saw recommended to me the Car Mechanic Simulator, and I've seen that before. I've seen it everywhere, and I've just never really like I'm not a car guy. So I went over to Game Pass. I knew it was there, and I was like, might as well install it. I'm just gonna give this a try because if I'm in the mood of like flipping cars and making money and like doing my little simulated business over here, let's just see. So I started it, and it's hardcore, man. Like you get a car in there, and like it's down to all these little parts, and I'm sure it's not even close to the real thing with how complicated it is in real life, but it still feels very detailed. Like people who know
Wow.
cars helped to craft this thing, and like I don't know, there's something about it. And yes, it's very tedious and slow. When you go to inspect the car at the beginning, you have no skills, and it takes you forever to determine what the problem is. You have to take everything literally all the way apart to get to some problems if you don't have the right tools or skills unlocked to see it more quickly. So at the beginning, it can be pretty taxing. You can run out of money real quick and get kind of stuck. And then you have to just do basic like fluid change jobs to build up money again, or brake change jobs to build up money again. Then you move into transmissions. Then you move into like you start to move into these larger jobs. Then you
Okay.
start to like just like you did with Gas Station Simulator. All of a sudden, I opened up this other area of the shop where now instead of always ordering a new part to replace it, now I have a repair table, and as I build my skills, I can repair different parts like for pretty much free, almost for free. and now I could put it back on there, and I'm making the same amount of money and not spending nearly as much as I was before. Because I would like spend 500 on a job and make like 550. What is what they would pay me.
Oh,
So
wow,
you like
okay.
you're bare at the beginning. It's really
You're really
incremental.
getting by. Yeah. Really barely
Yeah.
getting by.
So it definitely makes you work for it at the beginning. And but yeah, I've probably put like 8 hours into this over the last few days, and I'm like, this is way too fun. This is, and I'm listening. I was listening to music that I like. I turned off their music. Their music was super annoying. They have a little radio there, and I didn't even bother with their stations. I just put on my own music, and yeah, man, I'm digging it. I think they
There's a
did a good job with that one.
there's a loop that these games just like I don't know, like lock into that just be I don't that just grab at the addictive centers of your brain. You
I
know, like when
know.
we were all obsessed with like arcade simulator, or arcade laundromat, or whatever that arcade paradise or
Yeah,
whatever it was called. Like
yeah.
it was just there's all these games just they figure out some kind of loop, and they're always kind of a little bit different, but deep down, like primally, they're all kind of the same. And I just absolutely love it, and I'm assuming like you work a whole day's worth of work, and then do you have like an end of the day like tally type of thing or whatever, like this is how much you
Well,
made or
I thought
spent
that's what it
or
would be, but no, like there doesn't seem to be a day-night cycle of any kind. There's
oh
no like
wow, okay,
energy meter or whatever. You just kind of go. And I
okay,
actually did a
interesting.
job that I shouldn't have. I didn't have enough money to buy all the parts I needed to finish the job. So I
Uh-huh.
just parked that car out in the parking lot in front of the one of the garage doors because you don't have much
uh,
parking spaces. You have like three. And then I just started taking smaller jobs to make up enough money. I just did like fluid changes and brake changes over and over again to make up
yeah,
enough money to buy the parts I needed to finish that guy's job. And when I finished it, all of a sudden I made like $4,000 because that was a huge job
it's
that
a
I
big
took
job.
and I shouldn't have
Yeah.
taken. But like it offers them to you at the beginning, like, hey, do you want to do all these things? You're like, yeah, sure. And then you realize quickly,
You're way
oh,
over
I
your
don't have
head.
the money. I don't have the money for this. What am I doing? Yeah. There's other pieces of it too that I think would be cool that if it's there, I haven't gotten there yet. But little things like if they added this other nuance of you as the mechanic now call the customer to let them know, like, well, do you want this done too? Because it's going to cost you this. Like
Upscale
these
them, yeah.
little, yeah. Can you upsell them on something? That'd be kind of fun. Like add these little elements of how you make money as a business. What it does
Uh-huh.
is instead it gives you like a percentage of like it's not the quality. It's like the what's the word? If it gets down below a certain percentage, then it's red. So the item is almost going to break.
Hmm.
Durability, I guess you could call it. Anyway, so brand new items are 100% and they work through all the way down. And so usually customers come in and they'll have like a minimum kind of durability or quality percentage.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so anything that's below that, technically you could replace and they'll pay you for it, but you're not going to make a lot because that's not what they asked you to do. Like you could replace brakes that they didn't ask you to if they're just below that, but you're not going to make much. So little things like that would be cool to, yeah, I don't know, have more on the business side of it,
Hmm.
but yeah, it is pretty fun. You're right. It does scratch that itch that you don't always know that you have to just,
Yeah,
I don't
and I
know,
can only
fix
imagine
things.
people who don't play these games, they listen, you're like, "Changing brake fluids and taking apart
Yeah.
engines, that's so dumb," or anytime we're ever talking about these games, "What do you mean you're opening up virtual card packs?" Like, I know it sounds crazy, but if y'all have never played a sim game, it's time. There's too many of them. Choose one. If you like, there's anything that you can think of, there's probably a sim for it, and give it a
Yep.
whirl. There again, no one thought Power Wash Simulator was going to be as big of a
It's
hit
a
as it
hit.
is,
Yeah.
and it's a major mainstream hit. I
Which is
mean,
funny because that was published by Square, I'm pretty sure. And so that's like one
I
of the
think you're
only
right.
games they've had in recent years that exceeded their sales expectations, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
with all
poor
these major
Square.
games they've done. Dude, speaking
uh,
of games that have Sims for everything, look at this one that just came out this week. I just now saw this called Parcel Simulator.
oh,
You are literally like inspecting
here we
parcels and you're
go.
upgrading your warehouse as you store things and like,
See,
come
this
on.
is very card shop simulator. Like, just the way that like boxes show up and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Like, um, wow, yeah, no, this is like really in depth. You're like shipping it off to different countries and stuff. Okay.
Typing in the serial numbers to see if they're
Wow. Yeah.
valid,
I again,
putting
like I can
stamp
just
on.
I know someone out there is watching this and being like, guys, move on. Like this is ridiculous. Like no one wants to do this, but it's like these games are more popular than you think, and like you're one game away from becoming a fan of this genre.
I
I
know.
promise.
Sometimes it's just the right type, right? Like
Yeah.
for some people,
Yeah.
it's they want to run a restaurant or they
Yep.
want to, I don't know. I'm sure there's stockbroker ones or Wall Street ones. Like
Hmm.
some people, and there's a reason that games like The Sims are so popular. It's because you're doing
Yeah.
a life sim. Now, of course, those EA over the years has done some crazy stuff. They've added all kinds of wackiness and
Right.
vampires and whatever else. But I actually thought about like, hey, do I want to play The Sims 4 again? It's free. Like
I
I've
love The
considered
Sims.
playing that
Yeah.
again because sometimes those kind of games again they scratch that itch of I just want to have control. I want to like have things
Yeah.
orderly and
I
I don't
want
know.
to
There is
wake up.
something to
I
that.
want to build a queue of peeing, cooking, going to work, coming home, playing on the computer, which is weirdly
That's
what I'm
right.
doing right now. Like I just and build like
That's
that
right.
queue or whatever, and just sit there and then watch like that dumb character do it all. Like, yeah, there he is. Yeah. Yeah, he's peeing. He's censored now. Great. All right. And just I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like that automative like gameplay is just nice. And it just feels good, whenever
Yeah.
again you're locked into that loop.
Yep. I totally agree. Well, I will tell you, just to get away from Sims for a second, there's one that's out called Suit for Hire, and they say
Okay.
if you like Hotline Miami, give this one a whirl. So
Okay.
here's
Okay.
Suit for Hire. Looks like
Okay, I'm in.
looks
This is
like
like
Max
Max
Payne for
Payne,
a
yeah.
second. Yeah.
I'm in on this.
Oh, it's got some overhead.
This is the most I've ever had my
Oh,
phone out to wish list stuff. So thank you.
oh, dude, that's kind of cool. You can go third person or the overhead Hotline Miami mode. So it's like Max Payne and Hotline Miami, sort of.
This game is $9 right now. It's usually $14.99. It's
What's
nine. It's
the
eight
user
eight
reviews
ninety
on it?
nine.
People liking it?
I don't think there are any. Oh, very positive. Yeah, 654 all time, 93% very positive.
Oh man, this looks
I'm buying
fun.
this. Tim, what's wrong?
It's on the
Stop.
wish list.
Stop showing me new games tonight.
Stop showing me cool things.
Stop showing me non-Switch games.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, for real. Actually, let's see. Does it say at
This
the
is
end if
cool.
it's
You can create
it's
like
just
your
Steam?
you can customize your character and stuff like that. Ugh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So 1.0, I guess, just now launched. So it's been in early access for a while. I had never heard of it before though.
Me neither.
Um,
Yeah, this is totally off my radar.
so yeah, so I guess they added a whole bunch of new levels and stuff. But
Yeah, I'm buying
looks
this.
wild. Looks really frantic and frenetic and bloody
It looks
and
good
yeah.
for a
Well,
$15 game or whatever. Like
so
it
it's
looks
only
good.
15 and it's at 9 right
Yeah,
now.
it's $14.99. It's $8.99 right now.
Dang,
So,
it's a pretty good deal. So there you go.
good deal.
Suit for Hire is now in 1.0 if you need some shooting, some pew pewing in your life. So there you go. See, we cover all the things, guys. Okay, it's not just
All of
simulator
it.
games. We also talk about
We talked about
remasters
soccer.
of Devil Summoner, soccer. We're sports guys. We're sports bros over
Yeah,
here
we're
also.
sports bros all day. Yeah,
And it's an online competitive one, so we're super into like esports. So we
we're
cover all of it.
MLG. Yeah,
We're
guys,
MLG. That's right.
we're hitting all the boxes. You've come to the right place.
And then of course we talk about cozy fishing games and then life
Uh,
simulator games. We got it
Dan
all.
plays
We got it.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Guys, we cover
Oh
all
my
of it.
gosh.
It's all
Dan does play that.
here.
We
Yeah,
need
that's not
Dan
a
back
joke.
to help.
Yeah.
We need to help. We need Dan back to help cover that contingent of the game. That's a gap for you
Yeah.
and me. We need Dan here to help
Yeah.
fill in
I'm
that.
not there, but like
Yeah,
we got a
yeah,
guy. We got a guy.
we do got a guy. Hey, by the way, I meant to mention this when we were in Texas a couple weeks ago. We did go to visit Bucky's.
Oh
You guys,
wow, the legendary mascot Bucky's.
yeah, one of the more simple, not even that well designed. Yeah, it's like $1 billion company. Like it's crazy. The
Yeah.
Bucky's franchise. And it really is pretty much like a Walmart gas station. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, when you go in, it's just a truck shop. People to live on the roads. It's just like we want to offer you anything you could ever need, ever.
And it's
All in
massive.
one
And
stop.
I'll tell you what though, my favorite thing that they had there was the beef jerky wall because they had like
Oh
all these
yeah,
flavors of beef jerky. I was like,
yes.
okay, yeah, I really like. We got like 4 or 5 different flavors. I was like, this is awesome. So, but anyway, so yeah, Bucky's. Although I'm not sure. Is there one around here? Maybe up in Denver. There's one.
Maybe it's a Texas thing like that, and HEB and stuff like that. Maybe they're elsewhere. The Bucky's are, but like a lot of that
I
stuff.
feel like they're
Texas,
expanding, but I don't know. I know there's not one
yeah.
here where I am, down south of Denver.
There's
But
definitely not one here in Denver,
okay.
unless one snuck in or something like that. But
Unless
there's
one,
enough
I mean,
Texans
they would
living
have
here now.
they have to
that
buy up like 8 lots to just make the parking lot space
Yeah.
big because they're huge. Like
Yeah, it's not like popping up a 7-Eleven. It's an investment.
yeah, they're massive. But anyway, all right. So as far as news stuff goes, Kyle, we talked about one of the things, which was the lies of Pete devs. We always like positive news, right? Them getting
Yeah.
Switch 2s and extra paid holidays, which is awesome. I did see also that you mentioned it earlier. This thing about third-party games on the Switch too. What have you seen about that?
Yeah, I just saw that they're just not selling as expected, and I don't know what metric they're going off of or anything like that. I don't even know if they went into that data, but it's just one of those things where third parties just aren't selling very well. I would like to invite people to realize, though, that a lot of these third party games are games that probably people already own. These were, this
Right.
is classic Nintendo doing a little catch up when they launch a new system and be like, hey, we can play those games that you loved 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, or
Yeah.
5 years ago, or whatever. And I think that's fine. Like it is always fun to collect a game that maybe you've already played before, like on your handheld system or whatever, or catch up, new fans who are kind of only in the Nintendo ecosystem to some of the other games that people were enjoying over the last 5 to 10 years. But yeah, for me, I guess I wouldn't have expected them to sell well unless like you're a cyberpunk or something like that. That's just
That
kind of
hasn't been there before.
yeah, and it's like a big, big, big game. So I just
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other third party like
I'm curious how
Suikoden, like the
stuff like
people who
split
wanted to buy
the
Suikoden like probably bought it when it came out like a few months ago.
By
Because
the
like
way, I
that
just
is
bought that
I
yesterday.
bought
I was
it
like,
on
I'm
Switch
getting it.
too. We'll
Yeah.
get to that later, Tim. I've put about an hour into that.
Yes.
Oh, boy, yeah,
I
it's
just bought it on Switch too. I was like, I don't care that I
like
own on Steam. I want this on my Switch
that's
too.
a good example of a game like that game like I don't know how many people are like going out of their way to buy that game except for fans. You know what I mean? So it's like
Correct.
and a fans probably already bought it elsewhere, so it's like they're probably just not buying it here. And I think that's
Right.
probably a replicable excuse to give a lot of these launch title games. And also it's been
Yeah.
2 weeks, 3 weeks like
Yeah.
people are playing Mario Kart right now. People are playing Zelda right now at 60
Yeah.
frames a second. Like there are things being offered that are taking up people's attentions.
I do hope that
That I
more Switch owners play more Split Fiction because that's a great
Yeah,
multiplayer game. It's a good example of how you can use the game share and like
perfect game for
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
So
I hope more people
I
buy
think
that.
that picks up again. I think third parties didn't sell well whenever the Switch came out either, and then kind of throughout its lifestyle they started selling better and better. And again, like Switch was a go-to for me and a lot of people for like indie games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I
Good.
don't know. I think we're being impatient with that data and stuff like that, and I don't know. It's fun to knock things over. So it's fun to knock sandcastles over, Tim. I don't know if you knew that.
I did
It's
know that. And I'll tell you how I knew that, Kyle, because I was actually going to share this with you at some point. This is as good a time as any to share it. For Father's Day this past week, my family got me this Calvin and Hobbes collection.
oh yes.
It's got like all of the. I mean, it's heavy. It's got
These
to
are
be like.
tomes. These are tomes. These
It's
are
amazing.
those aren't books. They're tomes. Yeah.
So what I love about it too, not only Calvin and Hobbes my favorite comic strip as a kid growing up, but I had the uh, Nightmares and Babysitting and all the different like collections. I had a bunch of the collections. They just got beat up and destroyed or lost over the years, and so I think we had
Mm.
like one left. I had the cover ripped off, and it was like, it's a bummer. And so my wife, of course, recognizing this and knowing me, she had bought this for me, as well as a knockoff Lego set of Calvin and Hobbes riding in their
Oh,
wagon,
fun. I
because
love that.
they're not licensed, so you can't really buy
Yeah. Uh,
legit ones anyway.
Tiger
But
and red shirt boy.
yeah, Boy and Tiger
Yes.
adventure set.
Yeah. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, but the opening of the first book, and I haven't gotten the other books yet, but I'm sure they'll have it too, is Bill Watterson just writing. It's from like 2005, so it's like from 20 years ago. But so Calvin Hobbes, I didn't realize only ran for 10 years. It was 85 to 95, and then it was done
Oh,
like that. I
I
didn't
didn't know
I
that
didn't
either.
realize it was only that. Um, and there's lots of stuff about like, hey, maybe he got caught up in controversy and like said something he shouldn't have. Like maybe, possibly, but according to his words, from what he is saying, he got to the point where he was just like he didn't want the celebrity of this. Most people like me, who that's what he was saying. Most people like me who are cartoonists and do this kind of. We're not really comfortable with celebrity and people knocking on our doors and wanting pictures and autographs and stuff. It's just not our thing. So they moved out west, probably not too far from us, Kyle, out here, and kind of went off the grid in a lot of ways. So it was hard for
Oh,
people to get a hold of him directly, and he just put his foot down and didn't even entertain licensing options. Just never was a. He just never wanted that to be a thing. He wanted this to be the world where they lived, where he could control it, but also he didn't want it to be like misused. he had
Yeah,
this principle that he stood on, and you might disagree with it, but there's elements of it that I look at and I go, yeah, but it could have been like. There's ways I wish it
sure.
were licensed for some things, but I also really respect
Oh yeah,
his principled stance on this.
to not sell out and own your IP, like that's the
Hmm.
dream, right? Like I mean, of all artists, like I'm gonna stand by like what I create and own it, and like a
Yeah.
lot of people, and dude, I'd sell out immediately. I'm not as strong as he is,
Oh yeah.
but like a lot, yeah. I mean, come on, but
Yeah.
like I respect the heck out of like when people like turn their back on that and go, I don't, I'm doing what I
That's
love
right.
already, and I have enough, and that's great,
Hey,
you know.
they should make Sellout Simulator. We would play that.
I'm in. I'd be so good at that. Yeah.
It's just really cool, and then you get to hear about like how he started, how the characters developed and formed, and how like it's not like it's one of those things where you just have great ideas immediately and it just starts. The only way to get better at writing, creating characters, and drawing cartoons is to write, create more characters, and draw more cartoons. And
Hmm.
most of them are going to be bad, and they're not going to stick, and they're not going to work. You just have to keep. And so like it was just a really good kind of opening on work ethic as well. Like he worked his tail
Sure.
off. He was doing like ad layouts in these printable things that would go into the mail all the time back in the 80s. And, he was just kind of doing thankless, tedious jobs in between creating cartoon characters. And Calvin was actually not even named Calvin. He was just a little boy who had an imaginary tiger in another comic set of characters that he had. And like
Hmm.
eventually that's the one that took on a life of its own. And he said eventually, like, they are such strong characters. Calvin almost and his family are kind of telling you the stories and you're just relaying them, and how you draw them is
Hmm.
how he would talk about it, which is really cool. So
Oh wow.
I really admired it, man. I
If
thought it
you
was,
told me that that comic strip ran for 40 years, I'd be like, yeah, I know.
I know.
10
Yeah.
years?
I
That
think it was
it's
10, it
like the
might have been like
Mr.
11 total, but yeah.
Yeah, but still, this is like the Mr. Bean effect where you're like, that show has 1,000 episodes. You're like,
Yeah.
it has 13, yeah, or 20 or something like that. You're
It's
like, wait a minute,
crazy.
there's no way that
Yeah.
that's
What?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
But I mean, think about it too.
um,
He was, I mean, at first it was one of those things where he was sending in, I think like one a week maybe, and he would have to
mhm,
mail it in and then wait for a response, and then like obviously you're only getting paid if it gets printed, and sometimes
yeah,
in the snail mail would come a response that just pretty much said no, and that wasn't in that time, like at the very beginning as it was getting going and didn't have an audience yet.
hmm,
Like it sounded rough, man. It took a while,
yeah,
but eventually it got to the point where it built up enough of an audience, there was a demand for it. Whatever he sent they ended up printing, and he said his real test was, did it make his wife laugh. Like he talks a lot about his family, he's very like
oh,
wife
that's fun.
oriented.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's very, very sweet. But
How wholesome.
uh, yeah, very wholesome, very good.
I
And they're
like it.
still
Well,
funny.
another hard.
I'm reading through and I'm still chuckling. I'm like, these are still so funny.
Well, it's
Like
cool.
they're
Now they're
really good.
hardcover. Like, there's not worry that they're gonna get like destroyed. Now, what a cool
Hmm.
collector's item. And a cool little package.
They're, honestly, the move to make them huge and heavy is actually really good. Now my younger kids especially, can't run in and grab it and run out of the room and
Yeah.
just like flip through it and tear through it, and
Right.
like, yeah, it's like an encyclopedia. So
Yeah, they look like it. You look like you had a
yeah.
whole Britannica set. Yeah.
Yeah, I love these, man. Really good gift.
That's
So
awesome.
there you go. Um, all right. So as far as other news I saw, Kyle, you probably saw this too. Death Stranding has an animated film that's being made by the writers of Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, yeah. A weird HBO show that's perfect for this because weird recognizes weird. I
Yeah,
forget
that's
what
right,
other
dude.
things that guy did, but he's done other stuff that I've liked too. So I liked
It
Raised
says he
by
was
Wolves, but
attached to. Oh, he was also a writer on Prisoners.
Prisoners, yeah,
From
the movie. I think that's the
yeah,
Denis Villeneuve movie with
yep.
Hugh Jackman. It is. If you've never seen it, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a.
Prisoners is great,
Have you seen it? Okay, great. Yeah, it's an
dude.
absolutely
Like I was
fantastic
grinding
movie.
my teeth that whole movie. I was so
Da-
tense.
David Fincher esque in
Yeah,
in every way, but it's Denny V who recently did
yeah.
Dune and Blade Runner and all that
But
stuff. He's a
everyone's brilliant in
fantastic
it, man.
actor.
Even like the Jake Gyllenhaal like puts in
Yeah,
some very
it's one of
unique things with
his
his
most
character.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of ticks, and it's one of his
Hmm.
most unique characters. And Hugh Jackman is acting his ass off in that movie.
Yeah, he
It's so
is. Paul
crazy how much
Dano.
he's committing. Paul Dano, yeah, he's
Yeah.
always great. Yeah, it's what a cast. Old Rhodey Rhodes, Terrence Howard, is in it.
Terrence Howard of
Yeah.
I Believe in Weird Things fame. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, yeah, of I lied about my PhD fame.
Yeah, he's out there, man. But he's
Yeah,
great in
he's
this
a weird
movie.
one. He's great in
Yeah,
this movie, and he's great usually. So yeah, but
yeah.
he's really good in this movie. It's a great movie. So yeah, this is the writer of that as well, or one of the writers. Maybe there was multiples on that, but it makes me excited. And it sounds like Kojima handpicked this guy. It sounds like Kojima is really involved in this and the live action movie. I don't. I think it's a. I think both of these movies are their own story. I don't think they're doing a Norman Reedus story.
Okay.
So both the animated and the live action movie. It sounds like he's trying to build out this universe, and what an interesting universe to build stuff out in, because Kojima really built out like the world building in the first game. Like there are just hundreds of emails that just kind of explain to you like lore, and like
Dang.
that's what it is when you go back to your home base and you kind of like are sitting there, like you can read through like new like lore pieces or whatever. It's very 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 deep. So interesting to see
Dang.
kind of how he plays out with that.
Yeah,
um
I agree. I agree. I will say, speaking of Kojima, I did like his take on the Claire Obscure team. He just said that's the ideal team size.
yeah,
33 team members and a dog.
yeah, and a dog. Yeah, very very fun. Yeah. Oh, and while we're on Kojima, there was also news, and we kind of touched on this a few weeks ago when he was talking about how he was worried when a lot of people liked this game. He actually made fundamental changes in the last month to the game mechanics of Death Stranding 2 because he
Yeah,
got
because he
so
didn't want it to
spooked.
be so crowd pleasingly
Mainstream.
good.
Yeah, he was like, I was mad that so many people liked what they were playing, and I'm
I'm
like, you're
sorry.
so weird, dude. Yeah.
I know, but you know
when
what? You know what it is. Part of me thinks that's annoying, but I actually really appreciate the absolute consistency of this guy. Like
yeah,
that's
he has
always
always
been
known.
how he operates, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. And
so
again, when people are going like Kojima's so pretentious, yeah, he is. And Death Stranding is his most pretentious piece of work, and I mean that in all love, and I don't know if that
dude,
word
I
always
think you're
means
right about that. I think it's
I
okay to
don't.
even say it and say it with an element of admiration. Hey, I
Yeah,
like his
I
work because it's got this air of pretentiousness to it. It's intriguing to a lot of people.
absolutely, and I don't think that word is fully negative. You know what I mean? Like
I
I think
agree
that
with
we
you.
have used it
Yeah.
and co-opted it into a fully negative thing, but it is very self-aware, and it's
Well, I think
very
the
like
same of some
trying to be art.
filmmakers. There's some musicians too, where it's
T-
just kind of
tell
like,
me that the guy who
yeah,
not Danny Boyle, who's the guy who makes like Requiem for a
Guy
Dream,
Ritchie.
and Guy Ritchie. These are like very like they're very in love with their
Oh,
style,
oh,
and
oh, yeah. You're talking about Danny Boyle who did like Sunshine and stuff like that. That was
Danny
Danny
Boyle too,
Boyle.
but I forget the Requiem for a Dream guy. Not Blomkamp, but him too maybe. A lot of
I
these
know who
people
you're
again,
talking about.
they lock
Yeah,
onto a style, and they're trying to make art, like obviously,
yeah,
and like that's what
right,
pretentiousness kind of stems from, is when someone's like, you're
right.
obviously trying to be artistic right now. And I don't think that's bad. Like we're supposed to
Yeah,
be indulging in art and stuff like that. And if someone is locked into a frequency that they like to showcase, like David Lynch and stuff like that, yeah, if you have to take some licks and be called pretentious by the masses to like to lock into your style or whatever, I'm gonna cheer for you all the way to the
yeah,
finish
dude.
line always. And I
Yep.
like Kojima's frequency, and I operate inside of it. So yes, I want him to be pretentious and full of himself, and I want him to be mad when the masses like his stuff, and I like that. But I will also create space to go, it's weird, and I know why it's. And I can see how it's off-putting to people. I can.
Yeah,
I could see people playing Death Stranding and going, ugh. Die Hard Man, a guy that dies every 30 seconds. His name is Die Hard. Die Hard Man. Yes, it's pretentious. It's on the nose. A girl named
yeah,
Fragile who has like an old lady's body who's literally fragile. Like
yeah,
yes, yeah, I get it.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm all about it, and I cannot wait to see maybe even like journalists who like went and played the game who are like, this is such a good sequel, who suddenly turn on it, who are like, the changes he made are insane, I can't believe he made them. I'm just ready for those articles, and
Yeah, I kind of want to.
I'm excited.
It'd be kind of fun to try the difference between the two things too. Like I know that'll never
Yeah,
happen,
he
but it'd be
puts out the
interesting to
mass
see the
appeal cut.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mass appeal,
Yeah,
exactly.
and in
Yeah,
six
because
months he puts out the mass appeal cut. Yeah.
apparently the composer said that Kojima came to him and was like, "I'm gonna be honest. We've been testing the game. The results are too good. They like it too much, which means something is wrong. We have to change something."
Yeah.
So like, there's a consistency there that,
Yeah.
and basically he's saying if everyone likes it, it's mainstream, it's conventional, it's not polarizing enough. So we have to do something to
Yeah.
it.
He
And
he
it's
and
just like,
a
dang,
lot of artists say this too. Like if everybody loves it, you made a bad thing. Like a lot of like
yeah, I've heard
sculptors
that.
and writers, and like it's just, you want there to be people who don't like it, because that means there's something to talk about there. You're creating dialogue there if there's something going on that doesn't resonate with everybody. And I think that's important, like not everything
Yeah.
should be loved. There should be people out there who go, I don't like that thing, like that's
Yeah.
okay. And there's that's what we're here for. Everyone's got the thing that they like, and you just chase it hard, and chase it with reckless abandon.
Yep. Yep. Well, speaking of kind of out there games that I don't know, I feel like there's only a certain audience for some games, but Stellar Blade has picked up a massive audience on Steam now. It was PS5
Yeah.
exclusive only, and I think it's now outperformed all other previous Sony launches on Steam. I'm pretty sure. Like it outdid God of War, Last of Us 1 and 2,
hmm
Spider-Man.
It
So
launched well, I think, right? And no
it
one or
launched super
didn't
well.
launch
It saw
unoptimized like so many of these games do.
over 6 times as many concurrent players on Steam as Last of Us Part 2 when that
Wow.
launched. So yeah, huge audience for this. Also, there's PC audience is just different than console audience. Like there's just different habits, different
hmm
locations. Yeah, there's all kinds of differences. So I get it. The audience is slightly different, but along with this comes a lot of rumors about Stellar Blade potentially coming to Switch 2. Now that'd be interesting to see because that's a
Oh wow.
pretty demanding game. But yeah, there's these reports that are coming up that there is the developer Shift Up is currently developing a Switch 2 port following its massive Steam success. I wouldn't imagine we'll hear anything about it too soon. It could be like later this year, maybe into 2026 till we would see that. But interesting if they do. I guess I could see how you're motivated to put it on a popular new platform if it's doing so
Yeah.
well on another port
Especially
that you
if
just
there
want.
was already barriers up to get it elsewhere. Like you're talking like only Sony
Right.
people had access to it. Now only PC people. Like there's still a big pond of people who probably haven't played this game.
Yeah. I mean, it would look good on
And
the Nintendo eShop as well to have that as a
yeah,
crazy, violent character action game option, deep action RPG, like an interesting option to have there.
yeah, yeah. And we'll talk about it later, but like after seeing how Cyberpunk runs on the Switch, I think they could run anything. I think it could.
Yeah.
I think the Switch 2 could run anything. I think that Cyberpunk is one of the most demanding games to run,
Yeah.
out there, in terms of, things going on and just all that stuff. And I think that you could absolutely get Stellar Blade to run it. Sure, it's not going to look the best. It's going to look better on PS5
Right.
and PC, but
Right.
that's the same sort with Cyberpunk, but like I
Right.
think you could get it looking good and running well on that thing. I'm a
I mean, it's
believer
got
now.
PS4 Pro level like innards in terms of its capabilities. Like it's
Yeah,
close to those,
yeah.
which is crazy.
The Switch 2 is running at an Xbox Series S level. Like that is like
Yeah.
confirmed now. So it's like there were so many rumors that's like this is just a PS4. At best, you're getting a PS4 Pro, and it's like it's a Series S. And
Yeah.
I know that's not a huge departure from PS4 Pro or whatever, but like
Yeah.
Microsoft is getting all current gen games to run on the Series S right now. Some easier than others, to be fair. You
Yep.
can get the Switch 2 to run all these games. You can, especially in the way that like games are optimized for the Switch and Nintendo, and kind of like how games end up kind of running on that thing. I think you could get stuff running on there. Fine. Celebrate would be great on here. There's no Bayonetta
Yeah.
right now. There's nothing occupying the space, for character action games with like pseudo horny female characters. So I think you could sell this thing pretty easily.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. It'll be interesting to see if that one actually does launch there. We do know some stuff coming to Game Pass. I just talked about Rematch that is now out on Game Pass, but they also I'm not. I think this is just on PC because I don't think there's consoles versions of these. But if you have Game Pass on the PC, all three Warcrafts, as in the RTS Warcraft, remastered, and then they did some other. They did all three of them. I think different remastered, reforged. I think they called one of them. Anyway,
hmm
those are coming out this week
That's
onto Game Pass
awesome.
Ultimate on PC. Yeah, yeah, I like to
Uh,
revisit
my
those.
my entire relationship with Warcraft was like proto early villages that I just like would make a mage immediately and turn everybody into lambs or sheep or whatever. Like that was
It's awesome.
my whole memory of playing that game. Even though I know those, like even three has like a gigantic sprawling like
Yeah.
epic story. Like
Hmm.
I would play those games again.
Yeah.
That's not really my genre usually, but like these are classics. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. They're coming to Xbox. Bring them to Switch. We got mouse on those now. We got mice
Dude,
on them.
you got me. Yeah, you can use a mouse control. Come on,
Yeah,
Blizzard,
come
bring it over.
on.
Um, and come on, I can totally run those for sure.
Come on, yeah.
That, by the way, that is one thing I'd love to see. My next thing. What do I want next on the Switch 2? I want any existing game that has potential for mouse controls to patch so you can actually use it, because it has to be set up to use those controls. You can't just make it
Yeah.
work. So man, I'd love to see that, because there's so many games on there, everything from the Civilization games that are out, but there's lots of other ones too. Even like the Worms WMD game was on sale. It was like
Yeah.
$6 or something. I'd love to see that have mouse controls as well as you're playing
Yeah.
multiplayer.
That'd be
Two
cool.
little mouse controllers. That'd be fun.
And you know what?
So you mentioned this game earlier. This one's leaving Game Pass, Arcade Paradise. So if you haven't, go
Oh,
try
okay.
it.
Go
But it's
get
also
that
worth a
game.
purchase. It's really fun.
Yeah. It's one of the better sim games out there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Other stuff coming to Game Pass, Against the Storm, that is on console as well. That's a pretty fun sort of city builder strategy game. I played a little bit of that one. Star Trucker, Wild Frost, Volcano Princess. I haven't heard of these. Little Nightmares 2 will be on Game
Oh, cool.
Pass
Yeah.
in a couple weeks. And Rise of the Tomb Raider might be the best of those modern Tomb Raider games. That Rise.
Why would that ever fall? Remember that was like an exclusive to Xbox. Like, why would that ever fall off of
Good
Game
question.
Pass? You know, great game. It's my favorite as well. I like that game.
Yeah, I think
a
it
lot.
might be because the first one was
Globetrotty.
eye-open. The first one was like, whoa, they did something cool. The
I
second one was like,
love that first game.
whoa.
They just did
The second
everything
one
bigger
was
in the second
bigger.
one.
Yes. And then the third one had moments, but it's a little more forgettable and just didn't, I don't know, wasn't quite as intriguing.
I like
for
3
some reason.
fine, but yeah, I think that they heard too much of like we wanted more supernatural elements and they went too far with it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Like I like it. I like this. I like it surface leveled and hinted at and sometimes seen and and sometimes interacted
like Indiana
with.
Jones.
By the end of it, like you're like a god and like you die and resurrect.
That's
I'm like, I'm
right.
over it. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I
it's
didn't like
too
that.
much. Yeah, you lean way too much into it. Yeah.
I mean, that's why Uncharted, I think Uncharted did a good job of like managing that balance, right, between supernatural and real.
Absolutely. I will say it was Uncharted had like the templatedness of being like and third act supernatural, but it was always like I don't know, not shoved down your throat too much.
Right.
And there's usually on the heels of that comes a temple falling apart that you're running out of. So
I mean, let's be honest, this is all taking pages out of Indiana Jones' playbook, just as those stories are constructed. That's how they work. It's real life. Templates. It's colorful characters with great banter back and forth, maybe some romance, maybe not, whatever. But you get through and then eventually there's these questions around supernatural something. And usually your main character is like, nah, probably not. But then like there's some element of it that's either definite or a strong maybe. Like maybe something supernatural here. Like, yeah, really interesting. But
well, I like templates. Like when I go see a 007 movie, like there is a checklist of things, and he has to drink a martini, he has to get into a car chase, he's gotta look at gadgets with M, or Q, excuse me. Like I have to have all those things, or you're not a James Bond movie. If I'm watching a Mission Impossible movie and Tom Cruise doesn't run at least 9 times by himself on a screen, are we watching a Mission Impossible movie? I need those check boxes marked,
Dude,
like that. Sometimes I like a good template.
So true. By the way, I have not seen the new Mission Impossible movie yet. I need to go see that one.
I've seen every single one in theater, and I'm shocked I didn't go running out to see this one.
Yeah, I think Tom is too. He was trying to save the movie industry, and we let him down.
I know. Again, he was mad after the last one. He's got to be fuming after this one. The Oscars
you know what? He's got no one to blame but himself.
Cool
they named their last movie Part 1 and then just ignored the Part 2 for this one and just gave it a new title. And it's like, that's your fault.
Even though it is a direct sequel to that movie.
Yeah, I've heard it just continues that story. And
the last movie was good. It was. I don't know why people didn't go see it. It was a good. I like Fallout better. I think Fallout's an amazing movie. Whereas, like, the next one was good, and this sounds like it's.
I thought Dead Reckoning Part 1 was a lot of fun. That motorcycle sequence, of course, was phenomenal.
The train sequence, very Uncharted. Speaking of,
very fun.
I did see a couple movies this week that we'll get into a little later, though. So I am
nice.
I am seeing movies in theaters and being mad the entire
just
time.
Not Tom Cruise movies.
Sorry, Tom. Yeah,
sorry, Tom.
Again, I know the Oscars giving him an award so he doesn't kill everybody. They're like, he's crazy right now. We have to give him an award. I don't know. Make up some award
losing it. Yeah. He's according to him, he single-handedly he kept the movie industry afloat and is continuing to do so.
He had like a huge hit with Top Gun and his entire he became like in love with his own like legend, a little bit. Like he's just like I am the savior, and he hasn't been.
It became a little bit humble bragging. That's speaking of pretentious. Like it became a little bit of that, but also not like so out of character that I was shocked by it. I was like, yeah, Sounds about right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you
Again,
would
like
think
I
that.
think things are performing like Edge of Tomorrow style, and like I like Edge of Tomorrow. I like Live Die Repeat, you know, like but like that's kind
Good,
of how
good
things are.
flick.
It's a
Yeah,
great flick, yeah, and like it's
yeah,
okay that great flicks aren't box office bangers. That's okay, you
that's
know.
right.
But yeah, I think it's better than the Mummy, you know. Like it's not the Mummy, you
There's
know. Remember
also,
the
oh man,
Dooku?
I still haven't seen that. I refuse to watch it. It looked so
I
bad.
won't watch it. Yeah, I won't watch it.
It
Sorry.
looked real bad. But yeah, I mean, there's life after the box office on across
Yeah,
streaming and digital purchases, even more than ever. Like I know VHS is where that really took off, and
yeah.
then DVDs, of course.
But
But
like that, the
yeah,
the the new version of that is being on the top charts of streaming. You know, like that is
that's
the
right.
way that movies find their homes now. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
if they make money from it, but you know, like
And hey, I know
that's how
Tom
it is now.
refuses to accept it based on the haircut and clothes that he wears, but he is in his 60s. Okay, he's part of
You're
that
in your
older
60s, dude.
generation. Yeah, yeah.
You
By the
have
way,
turtleneck, you know, or
maybe he
turkey
does
neck.
have that. He does have
Yeah.
turkey neck a little bit, but still maybe one of like the more in shape 60-plus-year-olds I've ever seen.
I
Like
couldn't do anything that he's doing. He's like literally hanging off a plane, like in this new
he's
movie,
crazy. Yeah,
and like while the plane is careening down a
yeah,
valley, like a tight corridor down. Like I'm not doing that. Like, and I'm
yep,
40, you know, and I'm not. I'm in a pretty good shape for my age, but like I'm not in Tom Cruise shape, and I'm not getting on no
yep.
freaking helicopter and learning how to fly it for a stunt. You know,
Nope.
like he's the best, and there's no one like him. He's
He would probably
nuts,
be really
but he's
hard to be
cool.
friends with because I feel like just
Yeah,
chilling and hanging out is not in his vocabulary.
I
So like,
hear that he's the most engaging like when he's talking to you, like it's all about you and he's fully engaged, but it's also really intense because you're like, I'm having to perform for Tom Cruise right now. But
well,
like I
yeah, I think
hear
his whole thing is like, what are your goals that you're setting in that? That sounds
yeah,
incredible. What are your goals?
right.
Like, and so
And then
he's that
slowly
kind of
he's
a
like, you're
dude.
doing your own stunts for this movie, right? Like yeah, I hear he's a really intense but like very
Yeah.
like genuine may not be the right word, but like
Yeah. When it
very
comes
he's
to
like
that
super
age range of
into
actor, Tom Cruise is one I enjoy most of his movies and I'll watch them. But as far as like, hey, who would you want to meet in person? I would want to meet Keanu Reeves, far and away.
which I think that their movie podcast I listened to basically were like they're the same person, like in terms of how they've like rejuvenated like action and stunts and being
Yeah.
around the same age, coming up around the same time. Obviously, Tom Cruise is more popular, but they kind of have
Correct.
a similar trajectory in terms of like hit bomb, hit
Yep.
bomb, hit bomb in terms of their
Yep.
career. They're actually perfect analogs of each other. So, and I
But
agree with you.
opposite
It's like out of
personalities,
those,
probably.
a completely opposite personalities. Where it's like when people are around Keanu Reeves, like I've never heard of anyone being like, I was so nervous and he made me,
Yeah.
like. Whereas Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
I feel like he would just the amount of space that he probably takes up, not purposefully, just because he's Tom Cruise,
Right.
you're probably like, ugh,
He's
I don't
Tom
want to be in this
Cruise.
guy's orbit at all. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's always even had the name of a famous person. You know what I mean? Tom Cruise.
yeah, yeah,
Which
it's
I'm not sure if
cruising.
that's his birth name, but who cares? His name is Tom
Yeah, who
Cruise.
knows?
The last piece of news before we talk about other stuff we're playing and watching on here about some of the movies you're watching. Xbox did announce this next gen AMD deal, talking about the future of devices, how they, uh, in their opinion, future devices won't be tied to a single store. And of course, anything they make in the future will be fully backwards compatible. So their idea, it sounds like, as they're talking about how they're teaming with AMD to create chips for future devices, it sounds like they're leaning towards convenience. And they're, to Microsoft's credit, and they're easy to make fun of in so many ways, they are always trying to think of what's the next way a customer will interact with us and our content and our platforms. They are always trying to think of that. Like, oh, they're going to want to have probably 5 different devices per person, whatever it is. Here's your computer, here's your laptop, here's your
Hmm.
handheld, here's your phone, here's your TV. And we want you to be able to interact with us just like you would with Apple or with Amazon on all those things. So
Yeah,
they're thinking that way. Microsoft is thinking more Amazon and
yeah,
Google. That's how they're thinking. Whereas PlayStation and Nintendo are thinking more PlayStation and Nintendo, which is totally
yeah,
fair. Like they're just different ways of approaching it. But I think this announcement from Microsoft, this agreement, and some of their comments around it, um, kind of confirms that. And I don't hate that. I think that probably is their path to success long term because
yeah,
their hardware is rarely the must-have thing because you can play their stuff everywhere. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword there. But it doesn't seem to be something that, at least externally, upsets them all that much to kind of have
yeah,
hardware that's not tops. But Anyway,
Yeah, it seems like they're
but
doing fine regardless of their
yeah,
hardware selling or not. The Game
yeah,
Pass thing is paying off for them. I know people don't want to admit it, but like it is, you know, buying them more time in the market,
that's
and
right.
to flourish and everything, which I think they will. I think this ends up like they end up locking into a kind of a future that kind of secures them, maybe more so than Nintendo and PlayStation right now, because they're so forward thinking and they're trying to make sure that they're like future proof.
Yep.
I don't know, thinking outside of a generational like thing, might be the way to go. Um,
Yeah, I agree with that.
so
I agree with that. But yeah, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Like Microsoft has the reserves to even when they have
oh, they
a
could bleed. They could bleed money forever. They're
yeah, they'll be
fine.
fine. Yeah, as long as they want to do this, they'll continue to do it. The only thing
they
that'll
could
stop them is if
outlast they could
they don't.
outlast Sony just monetary, like like
I
they
know.
could fail
Yeah.
all the way until Sony just runs out of money and then like be the
Yeah,
only
it's
choice
true.
after. So
So they're gonna do the whole Batman thing where it's like you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. That's the kind of thing you're talking about.
yeah,
That's what's happening here. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
that's it.
the lone survivor
Uh,
that everybody hates.
that's right. So yeah, those are the main headlines that jumped out to me. I know that last week I touched on these games briefly because I've played them both super briefly, but I am curious, Kyle, as we pivot into other things you're playing, since they're still relatively new. I want to
Hmm.
hear your thoughts on Dune Awakening, of course. We should talk about that a bit.
Wow.
I want to talk
Yeah.
about The Altars, if you had a chance to play that. I talked about that both of those I talked about real briefly last week because
Hmm.
I, as Jeff would say, diddled with both of them.
Hmm.
Uh, we also just quickly have to touch on the disaster that is Mind's Eye. I don't think either one of us are playing it, but
No, I almost got tricked though. You saw how hyped I was for this game.
you were
Like
very
I
hyped.
was
Well, you were
really in
getting
on.
me hyped.
Yeah, you
You
see,
were
yeah,
getting
it's
me. I was like,
infectious. Yeah, and then like I don't
yeah,
know, the right red flag started sounding off, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna fall. I'm not gonna fall for this, right? You're not falling for this.
yeah.
And I'm really glad I didn't because it sounds like it's the mess that everyone thought it was going to be.
So not only is it a technical mess, but it just sounds like it is a very shallow and just not fun game. So like, yes,
Yeah,
there's this overall layer of performance and broken character faces and wacky screenshots that are being shared of how
hmm,
things, think Assassin's Creed Unity levels of like, what the heck is wrong with this game? Yes,
yeah,
that. But also, even when you
like
patch those
dated
things, there's some
design.
things you can't fix with like the way a
Yeah,
game feels, the way that it's playing, the way AI operates, with how dumb the enemies are. Those kind like it sounds like it's very much a 2 or 3 generations old feeling experience, and even then, not a
yeah.
high quality one of those. So
Yeah, not a fun throwback. Yeah, a bad
not a
one.
fun throwback.
Like people are hate streaming it, so it's like I know it's getting a
Yeah.
lot of it's moving the needle in the stream department, because it's become
Yep.
kind of a let's stream Gollum or let's stream that King Kong game. It's like it's one of those kind of effects or whatever. Let's stream it to see how bad it is, and people are actually seeing some success in that regards of getting a lot of eyes on it. But like that's just more eyes on it of this train wreck, and
Yeah.
and there were like little like rumors coming out that they're already working on a sequel, the studio. And again, this
Wow.
game was supposed to be like a 10-year like planned game. So it's like, why would that rumor even be coming out of the studio? Like rumors running rampant enough to write articles about.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just sounds like a mess. And it's not even an open world game; it's a stage based like game, but you can load into an open world to do GTA kind of like rampages or whatever, but like there's no like point at all. You're just loading into an open world to like cause a little chaos, which like we don't really play games like that anymore. Like it was okay to like turn on Vice City on the PS2 with your buddies and like try and get a 5-star wanted level and do that, but like I don't know if people do that anymore. I don't know if that's the way that we engage with games because there's so much out there. You don't need to like create fun in a game that that you have in your library right now. You can go on and play
Yep.
something else. um I don't know. I'm glad I didn't fall for this game. I was really close. I almost drank the Kool
Yeah.
Aid. I even like up to like the night the 11th hour. I was just like, maybe people don't get it. Maybe this is supposed to be like a
Yeah.
throwback game, and it's like, nope, it's just a bad game. That's all it is.
Just a bad game. And thanks to my buddy Derek as well, formerly on this show quite a bit, um, who basically told me like save your money on it. It's not like even he who sometimes does get into, and I've done this too, where it's a
Yeah,
6 or 7 out of 10 that somehow just works for you. I totally get that. If anyone would have liked it and told me, hey, it's got some redeeming qualities, it would have been Derek. and he
Yeah,
was like, no, it's
Derek and
bad.
I have commiserated many times about our tolerance for like low tier games that are like, guys, there's still some heart in it, you know. Like
Yeah,
he and I
yeah,
have agree on those quite often. So the fact that
yeah.
he's not even defending this
He was
game
like, don't
says
play
enough
it.
to me.
Like, oh
Yeah,
yikes,
we're not
that's
harsh critics. I know Derek might come off like a harsh critic sometimes. That guy's got a lot of tolerance for some really bad mechanics. So do I.
oh
I
for
mean, you know,
sure,
like we have a high threshold for bullshit in our video games, and yeah, it
dude.
doesn't sounds
So
like this
true.
pushes it too far. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the same guy who loved Outriders, right? Remember that one? Remember Outriders?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm still mad about that one. Yeah, that game is
same.
garbage, and I'm just going on record again. That game was broken. It probably still is broken. If you played it and it worked fine for you, great. Like, that's
Well,
awesome, good for you. But
I
that game
remember
sucked.
games like that. If you play games like Derek does, and a lot of people do, they're just there for the gameplay. They
Yeah.
literally not. It's a joke, but it's also true that they skip the dialogue. They don't care about the story. Maybe
Hmm.
with some exceptions, they'll pay attention to the story. So if you're skipping all those cutscenes to whatever degree they let you, I don't remember. If you're not hearing all that dialogue, if you don't care, if you're just shooting the aliens and just doing that third person shooting and
Hmm.
getting some upgrades and that, maybe there's a case to be made that it's a decent experience because you're not. I mean, I
Yeah.
just was sitting there through the
I know
dialogue going,
Jesse
"This
in our
is
group liked it
awful."
too. Like, oh, there were some
Yeah,
cheerleaders for that game. Yeah,
for
I had
sure.
my back against the wall a lot of times
Maybe it's
talking
just
crap
because you
about that
got to
game. But
learn to not care about story and characters and dialogue sometimes
yeah,
in order to enjoy
yeah.
some of these games.
My problem with that
It's
game was is it was a lobby loading simulator for me. So 45
yeah,
minutes sometimes, and then I would load in and crash immediately. And like I
another
spent,
Square game, right? Isn't this
I probably
Square?
had like yeah, yeah, I probably had 60 hours in that game, and like maybe 25 of those were actual gameplay time. Like, and
Oh,
I'm not
sweet.
trying to
So you got a lot
over
of phone time
exaggerate
and
that.
TV show watching time
A
in
lot
there
of
while
me
you were
on
waiting.
chat with two other buddies who are really mad. Just like I can't. We're just gonna wait. We don't want to switch over to something else, you know. Like no,
Yeah,
we're just. So I guess we wanted to get in. Like we were on the outside, like let us in, you know. But like
yeah,
I don't know. I don't. It just that game.
yeah. Well, so fair to say, neither one of us are playing Mind's Eye, and probably won't at any point in the future. So,
No, it's not even a game I'll pick up
um,
like on sale. Like just ignore
but
it.
we both do have installed, and I've played to some degree, the Altars and Dune Awakening. Kyle, I'll let you decide which one do you want to chat about because I
I haven't
briefly
played the
touched
altars
on
yet, but
both.
I would
Oh,
love to hear what you've played of that because I
yeah.
want to
So
play
the
this
I did
game
play a
bad
little
on
more
it.
since recording last week. The Altars is a really interesting game from the folks who made this War of Mine.
Love that game.
It
I
is
love
a
this War of
survival
Mine so
game.
much.
It's really pretty. Like when you load it, that first opening prologue is really compelling. A great sci-fi story setting, kind of set up for what's happening. And there's a pretty obvious element in the game of what's happening, but I won't say it because it's more fun to kind of discover it there at the beginning. But there's a pretty common sci-fi element that's at play here. It's just done in a really creative way. And of course, it's what you expect. You get into the place, you kind of learn the rules of, okay, here's how long I can be outside and exposed. Here's what time of day I'm able to go do my tasks. And then I got to get back inside before some stuff happens. And then there's an overall countdown. Well, that seems soon. That's terrifying. So like they have these cool elements at play. You're communicating, you think, we assume, back with kind of home base headquarters, sort of, but you're getting these
Mhm.
weird instructions and comments on things. And like, so there's a lot of mystery, but there's also some really cool upgrades and some things that you unlock. You kind of have this grid. It's a kind of a 2D base that you're building and then a 3D space that you're exploring. So in the 2D base, it's these little compartments you're building. Think like Fallout shelter or whatever. So it's that kind of a thing. And you can move things around, like move a hallway, move an elevator, so you can fit a new room in. So, but it's all very visually well done. The atmosphere and environment, especially, looks really, really good. And then when you get to this special material, the whole reason that you're on this mission, you're on this expedition at all, is for the special material that's been discovered. Think like Avatar Unobtainium. It's got a silly name, kind of like that.
Mhm.
But anyway, when you encounter it, the effects on the screen and on your character are wacky and really cool. So, and then you find out what you're using that for. It's like, oh, got it. This is so it's kind of a cool setting. I like it. It is a survival game, right? Where you are trying to find resource nodes. You have to get the materials to build a like a mining mechanism on those nodes and then connect it via power cables back to your main base so it has power. Then you have to go out there and run it. Eventually you can get things automated a bit. But in order to
Mhm.
get certain resources, you do have to do these survivally type things as well as get rest because you can't do everything all at one time. So there's enough survival stuff there that I think if you're a fan of that genre, you'll like it. If you really hate that genre, it's possible that you won't like that, but it's worth a shot anyway, just in case. So yeah, I like it.
It seems cool. I really want to play it. We'll talk about Dune here in a second, but I'm playing a game where you laser rocks already. So I didn't know if I wanted to double down on right now,
Yeah,
but I'm absolutely going to get that game because I love This War Is Mine so much, and it
yeah.
seems very like Moon, like the movie Moon or Mickey 17 more recently.
You're
Like
not
it
you're
feels
not far
very
off. And I will say
yeah.
this too, the dialogue is very good, the voice acting is very good, and I'm not far
hmm
enough in to tell you that the story is good, but by all accounts, it's actually a really compelling narrative that's happening throughout
It sounds
as
like the
well.
mystery is all there, which is good. And I know there's a lot of like
Yeah.
quality of life stuff where it's like you were saying you can just move and drag like hallways like that. Where but
Yeah.
there's no like downtime where it's like you have to deconstruct with like so many other of these games. Like it's like very involved where you have to deconstruct that area and that takes time, and then you can rebuild it in another area, but you have to clear the
Right.
foundation first, and that takes time. Like you can just kind of move stuff like a puzzle
It just
around, which is
instantly things
nice.
instantly are built. Things instantly
Yeah,
are moved. Mhm.
which is nice. It
Which is
streamlines that type of stuff, you know.
yeah.
Sometimes survival games are kind of a game of waiting, you know.
Yeah.
So that's cool. It sounds cool. I was always into this game, and I really like the you know, the twist on like how you how characters and stuff like that. And I know that there's
Mhm.
like a deeper temporal map thing that you can kind of only see certain events or certain things on one
Yep.
playthrough, and so it might be a game that you have to play a few times to actually see everything.
They do some interesting stuff with technology too, where when you're trying to find certain resources that are underground, you have these sort of triangulation things that you're using on the ground that will give you a view directly underneath where those three things are, and then you kind of keep
Oh,
build.
cool.
Think of like World of Goo, where you're connecting these dots, and then it expands what you can see, but you can only do a certain number of these posts at a time before you
hmm
have to remove some and put some new ones down. And then it kind of gives you this picture underground, and it will highlight almost No Man's Sky style. Oh, here's where the resource is, and so you keep
Cool.
doing that till it eventually uncovers, and then you can place your resource gathering machine on there. So anyway, it's got a lot of that exploration and survival mechanics to it. I'm not super far into it. I think I will play it some more though because I am enjoying it. That first space does feel very limited, and I think it's for a reason. They don't want you to get overwhelmed or get lost or wander
You
too
know if it's
far.
procedural or not? Like when you go outside, is it random
I
every
don't
time or
I don't know. So for
static?
me, it's been the same every time, but
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I think it's handcrafted. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay. Cool.
handcrafted.
Cool.
Yeah, especially the beginning. Maybe later in the game it becomes more procedural, but that opening
hmm
space is designed specifically for you to get learn what these certain types of resources are and how to gather them. So it's very tutorial like at the beginning.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, and the first countdown is coming up real soon, and it's just like, oh, I think there's
That
some
that
loop
reminds
to
me of
this
like
that
that
they want
reminds me
to
of
teach you.
XCOM. Like there's like a ticking time clock, and you're like, oh, I gotta
Yes,
do all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that can
yeah,
be stressful, but yeah, if it's
it
done
can
well, it's
be.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. But you're also playing Dune Awakening, which I only played very little of and really want to play some more. I will say I've tried to log on twice since then, and it said my server was full. So I was like, do I just need to start
Really? Oh
another
no.
character in another server? So
Maybe.
it just won't let
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
join.
That's crazy. I haven't had any of those issues, but I think we purposely chose like a low occupancy server.
Yeah.
So we might have lucked out on that one. I am playing with a buddy. I'm like 32 hours in, like level
Dang.
45.
Yeah.
He's way more obsessed with it than I am. He's like 80 hours in, level like 90, you know, like has
He's like, you're not
everything. Has an
playing enough, dude.
he has an I'm like I'm 40, like I'm 32 hours, like give me a break, you know. The game came out a week ago. I love this game. I was really this game has a lot going on. If I didn't have a buddy to kind of like shepherd me through some of the moments, I may have not have gotten through some of those earlier things because it is very survivally. It's very menus upon menus upon menus. You know,
Mm.
I don't know if I would call it like, oh, it's not designed well with the menus. I just think there's just so much going on. It has to be that way, and it's
Yeah.
just a lot. You know,
It's
it's a
hard to
lot.
make super complex stuff intuitive at a certain point, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Yeah, and it's about as
Yeah.
intuitive as can be. It's all there. It's just about finding it. You know, whether or not it makes sense to you might you know vary person to person. But
Sure.
I am enjoying it a lot. There's a lot going on in that game. You know, we got out of the tutorial area pretty quickly. We posted up kind of in the middle of the map and have erected our bases right next to each other. I love how like you can like give permissions to your base to like another player, and like they can build stuff on your base using schematics that you don't have access to yet. So it's like I
Oh,
have things on my base that I shouldn't have for another 40 levels, you know, just because like he's just like, hey, I've got a surplus of materials and these schematics. Let me build you an orthocopter like helipad
you're like,
with a
yeah, that's what
shield in and
I
everything
was
like
gonna
that.
do
And I
that,
go,
but thanks.
yeah, okay, thank you, yeah.
Can
So
other
the
players
it's
like invade and attack and
if you're
steal
in a
your stuff?
if you're in a PvP area, yes, like people can evade your base and stuff like that. But I think your base has like a shield and everything. So I don't know exactly how the base rating goes, but like let's say you don't pay your taxes. Yeah, you have to pay taxes in this game. You don't pay your property taxes, the government will turn your shield off, and people can just run into your base and steal all your stuff. So it's like
Hmm,
you do have to stay on top of payments and everything like that.
dang.
To ensure that like you are secured even in
This is the
PvE
ultimate
areas.
simulator. Tax
It is,
simulator.
yeah. You're paying taxes. You have to take a chopper into like the main town hub area where you get like
Yeah.
missions and can like barter and sell, and like
And you
it's a
have
cool, cool
factions that you
town.
can choose to align with or not,
Yeah,
right? Because there's
yeah.
multiple
You have
fac
factions
So
and
what I
stuff
liked
like
about this
that.
too, Kyle, I talked about this last week. I loved the setting and the setup. We kind of knew this already, but to kind of see it play out
Hmm.
where you see like, yes, here's the story of Dune, but there are alternate versions of this where if this thing didn't happen, this chain of
Yeah,
events is set in motion and now here we are and here's your
yeah.
character.
This is
So
what
good.
if Lady Jessica followed her what she needed to do from the Bene Gesserit and like create a female child instead. In the movies and the books, she created Paul, which was
Right.
against like the path as they call it or whatever.
Hmm.
And so this is like an alternate universe. What if Paul Atreides didn't exist? And
And it's
like,
cool that Paul Atreides is the one narrating it. Like I didn't
yeah,
in this case, I
right,
didn't exist.
yeah.
Yeah,
When if
yeah,
you know a
yeah.
little about the books, it's because he's omni. Like he can see it all. He can see, and he
Yeah.
talks about it in the second movie too, where he's like, I see various futures and I see a
Yeah.
path, and he calls it the golden path, and it becomes like his whole ideology. You guys are gonna freak when Messiah comes out. I'll tell you that. It is wacky. It's
We're
gonna
gonna
be a
be like,
wacky ride.
what? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
be wacky. But yeah, this is really cool. And as a guy who read some of the books and is deeply into some of the lore, not as much as your like big Dune head or whatever, but like there are like the main bad guy in this game is like a major player like in the books, and like it's like you will recognize names and stuff like that. Obviously, the factions are all there. Everything's all there.
Yeah.
So if you even seen the movies, like you'll have some kind of knowledge about like kind of like, oh, these are the Atreides and this is the
Yeah.
Harkonnen, and this is a universe where the Atreides didn't go to Dune and take over and get wiped out, so they're still major players like in the Empire, and the Sardaukar is there, which is like the Empire's like army, and like it's all there. So it's like if you're familiar with just the movies, like you'll be very familiar with what's going on in this movie. And
Yeah.
the big kind of curiosity is that like the Fremen are gone, and like maybe the
Right.
Fremen all got wiped out, and like you're trying to figure out kind of as your character
Yeah, they
the main
say that
path of the
they're
game is.
extinct, but then there's hints right away early in the game that you're
Yeah,
gonna try to find them, like
yeah,
confirm if
and
they're around or not. Yeah, yeah.
that part of the like there is a main quest in this. Like you'd have to go to different trials, like Fremen trials, and you're
Mm.
learning a little bit about their culture and like being integrated into their culture a little bit, little by little as you're going through every trial. And then like after you're done with the first 8 trials or whatever, like the story opens up and becomes a little more cinematic and a little more directional and stuff like that. So
That's
like there
cool.
is there is like this is a regular MMO with like a path to go down, but also it's just a hardcore survival game with resource to mine. Like me and my buddy will get his buggy and we'll like prepare to go out to get ore
Yeah, you gotta
that's
have water.
only
You
at the
can't be in the sun for too
you
long,
can't
that's
be
for
in the sun
sure.
for too long. Like you
Yeah.
have to manage your stamina, you have to manage your water, you have to manage all these things, and certain ore is only on certain parts of the map, and like you have to travel, and prepare for said travel, and like make sure you bring enough inventory space in the form of a buggy or a bike or whatever, and like load up your stuff and like go back and then mine stuff. I'm sorry, create stuff and craft stuff, and it's just like it's
Mhm.
got a loop to it that's just like really nice if you can get past that first tutorial. That's just so it's and again it's not bad, it's just a lot. And if you've
It's a
never played
lot.
a game, this is not my genre, so I'm not really used to a lot of these mechanics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got hints of No Man's Sky in it. It's
Mhm.
probably more like what's that Conan game that I didn't play much of that I because I
Conan
didn't really like
Exiles.
it. It does have like some survival elements of that as well.
Yeah.
It's Minecrafty in the way that you're
I mean,
building
it's got like
your
actual
structure.
action combat too. Like you're
The
actually
combat's awesome,
fighting and
dude. The
parrying and
combat's
stuff.
so
Combat's
good.
good.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Like there's a parry system. I'm a sword master.
Yeah.
That's my class. So there's a lot of like holding down the attack button to do the slow blade. The slow blade penetrates the shield. So if characters have
Yeah.
shields, you can wail on them all day, but you've got to get that slow blade in. And like there's a I don't know. It feels good. Like if this were just like an action game, like I'd be like, this is great. I like this
Yeah.
part. This is fine. You have guns. You have all sorts of stuff, and it's just schematic heavy. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a cutter, but you're gonna have 10 versions of that cutter. So as you
Yeah.
get steel, and I have a steel cutter, and you get aluminum. Oh, I'll make one out of aluminum now. So it's like again, it has that like Minecrafty, like upgradable, crafting loop or whatever that you either love or you don't love. But I love that like this game just kind of feels like a hodgepodge of a lot of that type of stuff, and it's all integrated very well. And Yeah, I'm having a good time. It is fun with a buddy, who knows a
Yeah.
little bit more about the game than I do. So anytime I have a question or I'm struggling, he's like, "This is what you do," and like that's nice.
Yeah.
I do like that it's so easy to play with together. And since building our houses where we were, our whole area has gotten really popular. So we have houses built from other players everywhere. You can hear them talking in games sometimes. It's proximity chat.
Okay.
I had neighbors popped up. I moved my property up to that neighbor's front line of his front entry, and he got really, really upset. But I was there first, so he can get bent. And if you're listening to this, you can get bent. You didn't have to build your stuff so close to me,
Too
so
bad. Yeah.
I passive aggressively like expanded my lot like up
It's a
into his front
literal
door.
desert, dude. Pick
Yeah,
anywhere, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. There is space everywhere, and don't even get me started on this. The sandworms are so cool, dude. Like it, you're walking around on the sand, and you start. There's like a sandworm like identifier radar like on your screen, and the more noise you're making, the more they're gonna get attracted. And when they're coming at you, man, they barrel at you. And I haven't been killed by one yet, but they will eat you. And there is a level where you're inside their body and stuff like that. So
Oh,
there
dang.
is don't get eaten
Yeah.
by it. You will lose everything. Like the stakes are high. Like if you die,
I
you
mean,
drop
it's
your
a
stuff that you're
fully
carrying.
fledged, built out MMO, like full
Yeah,
adventure, all the experience. Like this could be your only game, and you'll have plenty
yeah.
of
I think it
adventures.
wants to be too, which like I
Yeah,
can't let it be. There's too much going on right now. But like
there's
it
too much
wants to be
happening.
your only game. I don't know if there's raids later. I don't know
Yeah.
about that. But like
I've
I'm sure
heard
the
that
end
if
game
you
is
want to
very
solo it,
PvP
like
heavy.
me, typically I like to
Mhm.
solo in these games. It's very soloable, at least a
It's
lot
very
of it.
soloable.
There's
Yeah.
gonna be parts of it, just like every MMO, where you're gonna have to team up with strangers or find friends if you want it. But a lot of the main stuff is soloable, which is
I'm
cool.
30 hours in, and not one time has the game been like you have to be here with somebody. So like
Mhm.
like that's you have a long road of solo stuff ahead of you, and I'm sure a lot of the end game stuff is probably going to be the stuff you need to team up with people for. But I haven't come across
Yeah,
anything that like required you to be with somebody, which is
nice.
nice because
That's
I,
good.
I do like to get on too and just make progress without like needing people around, to carry
Yeah,
me through hard stuff. The game just seems really manageable. The only thing that you need to worry about is just like again like your water and your sun exposure. Do all your exploring at night. The day night cycle is there for a reason.
mm,
Collecting water, collecting anything is just a good time. And again, I love that embarking out. Like this is what I need to do. I need to go get this particular
yeah,
material, which is at this particular spot. I'll need to use this vehicle to get there and this equipment
yeah,
to extract it. And there's just something nice about like that. Like let me rummage through my stuff and see like what the best way to go about this is. And then whenever we go out on an exploration adventure or a combat adventure, it's different. I need to make
yep.
sure that I'm stocked up on health packs, and like it's just I like prepping for different things to like leave like my abode, and it just feels nice to kind of prep for the particular thing that you're about to do.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I bought this on Steam and I fully plan on playing it more. I just barely did that whole opening sequence where they're still teaching you the basic stuff. Hasn't gotten
Hmm.
overwhelming yet, but I'm not super far into like the survival elements. So I think that's where it starts to become more complex.
They do a really good job of not overwhelming you. They're like, okay, now we're gonna build a shelter. Yeah, okay, now
Yeah.
you're gonna put this in the shelter. This is what this means. This is what this is used for. So
Yep.
like they
Yep.
do a good job of explaining it. It's just if you're playing it with a controller like I am, it works really well. But I abandon it immediately when it starts going into like the building and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and use a keyboard and mouse.
I do the same thing with
S
Valheim, like, it's fun to explore and fight with controller, it's pretty good
Yeah,
pretty decent controls, but I'm all mouse and
that's a
keyboard for
great
any kind of
comparison.
building. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you or menu navigation or anything like that. Just please use
that's
your
right.
mouse. Like that is what it's designed for. This game is going to come out on consoles too, either later this year or next year. So
Yeah, because
if
technically
you don't
it's
have a
early access now, right? It's kind of in
I don't know.
essentially like a beta?
I think this is like the full release or whatever,
Oh,
but
is it?
like
Okay, okay.
it's one of those things where every 3 to 4 weeks they said that they're going to have major updates. So it's like I
Oh,
don't
no,
know if
yeah,
it's
you're right, it
feature
is the full edition is out on PC now,
yeah,
yeah,
I don't
okay.
know if it's feature complete, but it is like the full edition. But they did say
Okay.
that for the foreseeable future, every 3 to 4 weeks, maybe they said months. I'm sorry, 3 to 4 months, they're gonna have major updates, and they made it seem like these are gigantic pieces of new content, that are free, So that's gonna be cool. I'm really excited to see what they add and
Yeah, I
stuff
see
like
they
that.
just put
Again,
out a post, this past week about it's basically just thanking everyone for the reviews as well as just the number of people playing because, 6 years of work going into this culminating in one single day can build a lot of tension, so they're just celebrating the reception of it, which is awesome. It's one of the
yeah,
most played games on Steam since launch, which is great. Dang.
I'm bummed to hear that you're having lobby problems because, yeah, that bums me out, and that's MMO
Well, I
stuff
haven't
for you.
tried in about 4 days now, but I played it that
Oh,
first day
okay,
I got it. I played it for, like, an hour and a half. I was like, "Man, this is fun." So then
yeah,
I went back to log back in. I was like, "I wanna play this some more," and it didn't work. So I tried again the next night, and it didn't work. I was like, "Alright, I just gotta find some non-peak times, or maybe since I'm so early, I could just create another character and target a
yeah.
low population server or
Yeah,
something."
and for the
But
most part, I've heard the lobbies have been consistent. Like there's not a lot of
yeah.
crashes. There's not a lot of queues.
Yeah, the lobby
So
was
it's like
fine, it's just that the server was full, and it said, "Try again
yeah,
later."
yeah. So you had
It's
lobby
like,
queues and
"Okay."
stuff like that. So that does suck. But like I have been on the ground floor of a lot of MMOs, and even like stuff like we talk really highly about Knights of the Old Republic all the time. One of the
Yeah.
worst MMO launches in the history of launches.
Yeah.
Every time
Yeah.
a new WoW expansion came out, it's like they'd never released a game before, and they're like, oh, I don't know why
Yeah.
it's not working. This it was working pretty quickly, and they did do a
Yep.
tier release. So maybe that helped. But like I've heard very minimal things about like the issues and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad I like it as much as I do. I was a
Right.
little worried, that it was going to
Yeah.
be too much like Conan Exiles to fully enjoy, but I think there's plenty there to like, and you don't really have to go full like if you don't want to make this big like opulent base, and you just want to have like a
You can
square
just do
with
the
like all the
basics.
essentials in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I just recently, like last night, went nuts and like built like a really cool base. But like for the first like 25 hours, I was operating out of a square with like 1,000 fabricator machines in it. Just like, all right, let me make all this stuff, and it worked fine. And I was having a good time because like I was going out and doing stuff and playing it and engaging with the game. And then I played house, a little bit later. So again, you can go about it however you want to. A lot of options in this game. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of cool stuff.
Love
And
it.
it's fully voice acted, so that's always
It
kind of
is.
interesting too.
And well acted too. It's not like it's
Yeah,
just
graphics are good too.
yeah,
Like I'm
it's
running
good.
it,
Yeah.
1080p, on my PC and stuff like that. It's a good looking
It
game.
looks
It runs
nice.
very smoothly. Um, yeah, it's just a good game. I'm loving it. I love having an MMO in my life. So
Yeah, it's very, very good. Highly recommend. Well, what else are you playing, Kyle? I know that last week I touched on those two games a little bit, and so
yeah,
I'm curious, what else are you playing? You mentioned you may or may not have purchased one of my favorite games ever,
yeah.
Suikoden 1 and 2,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
On the
So
Switch?
I'm very familiar with this series. I've never played one or two, so I am making up for some sins, some art JRPG sins here. I started on three and kind of played all the ones going forward, which I know like diminishing
Okay.
returns, kind of sadly.
Kind of that up
So
and down like you talked about, where
yeah,
3
yeah,
was great, 4 was not well received, and then 5 apparently is very
I've
good. I never played 5
yeah,
though.
five is good. Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited to play one and two. I'm not very far. I've been grinding outside of the main first village, because I know
Hmm.
that there's like rare runes that you're not really supposed to get to too early, that a guide was like, yeah, use guides, whatever,
Yeah,
that
dude, use a
are
guide.
pointing me towards, yeah, this is old hardcore
Yeah,
JRPGs, I'm
dude.
definitely using
And
a
you don't want to
guide.
miss any characters, right? There's some
I
cool
don't want to use any
characters you can get.
characters. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're pointing me towards some runes down there that I need to be level 10 to get to. Like even just an hour of like grinding and doing stuff while I'm grinding on handheld. Like I'm about there. So I'm gonna go on that quest real quick before I even do the very first quest. Immediately, I just really like the pixel graphics.
Yeah.
It is a throwback, but it's just I feel like I'm cheating like when I'm playing it in widescreen and then that
Yeah.
aspect ratio, and everything looks a little better because of the high fidelity and stuff like that. It just feels like I'm getting away with something, and I love playing old games like on a big screen.
Yeah.
And pulling it out and being able to play that on the go is going to be perfect for me. And I
Yep.
know this like the first game's only like 25 hours, so it's
Yeah.
not going to be too long to get through. And then two is considered one of the greatest JRPGs ever, so I'm very excited to
Yeah.
get to that one. Not that I'm going to
Yeah,
rush through
one doesn't
one,
take
but
long to get into the meat of like what the heck is
mhm.
happening. Like things unfold pretty quickly in one, and then two, it's much longer of a build up to. And there's a couple
Yeah,
like two, I think because of the story it tells is also way more compelling. One is very straightforward, but I mean that in a good way. I really liked one a lot. But
yeah.
yeah,
I've heard a lot of
you'll see
people
there's
echo
very
exactly
straightforward,
that.
like, the classic empire rebellion, who's right, who's wrong, which side are you on? Like you've
Yeah,
got connections. Anyway, so it gets intense pretty quick. Um but yeah, I'm excited for you to try both these. I think they're both
I'm.
really good. One is pretty breezy, you are right. Unless you really try to get all 108 characters, because there is a pretty main character in one who, depending on if you get all the characters by the end or not, you may or may not see again. So they're
Mm,
like, so anyway, there's some things with one that can end up taking you a lot more time. It just depends on how in depth you want to go, and if you are
yeah,
determined to have the full roster at the end, or if you're okay with letting that be like a loss that happens at the end. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So so
That's
yeah,
cool. One of the first things I noticed too, great music. Great music. That's like really.
yeah,
I just immediately I'm just like, ah, man. And again, like we grew up on this era of games,
yeah.
so it's like hearing chip tuney.
Yeah, these little like the little wind instruments as you're running around the little town or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
good. Hmm.
It's just I don't know. It feels like coming home. I love this
Hmm.
era of gaming, and it's nice to be able to kind of fill out my backlog a little bit or my knowledge, of JRPGs,
Yep.
and I'm really excited for
Yep.
these two games. I
When
love
you can
that it's
kind
on
of see
Switch.
how Aiden Chronicles is definitely taking some cues
Yeah,
from it, huh?
absolutely. It's the same game. Yeah, they just
It's the
have voice
same
acting.
games.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to play more of those.
Nice. Anything else that you've been playing before we close out with things that we're
I kept
watching?
on I kept on teasing talking about Cyberpunk a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time. It's an old game. We know about it. We don't talk about old games here ever.
I guess
So
it's good or whatever.
oh yeah, it's fine. I got to be honest. After spending this time with it, it might be my second favorite video game of all time.
Oh,
I don't
dang,
know.
man.
I think it's moved
So
up
it's
my
your
list like
2020
eight
game of the year
spots.
for sure.
Oh, it
Like
was when it came. It was when we did our episode too. I was the
it
only
was
one
when
saying
when everyone
that
hated
game.
it. You still were like, it's my
Yeah, yeah.
favorite. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not a fair weather fan. No, I'm kidding. You are allowed to hate that game when it came out. That game was a mess
Yeah.
when it came out.
Yeah.
And
Especially if you
I'm
played it
really
on the previous gen.
yeah, yeah. And I think the thing I want to talk about most is like I haven't played the main campaign since the 2.0 update. I just went right into Phantom Liberty and like played it all there. And they've
Oh,
done a very good job of like parsing out the side quests a little slower, not
yeah.
populating all the police like missions or whatever. I'm going low res here for a second, sorry. They it just there's not a lot of clutter on the map. They just do a better job of like parsing out the missions for you or the
Yep.
quests now, and it was just not the case like in the original game. I think Street Cred always kind of unlocked more missions, but like I think it feels a little slower and in a good way because like sometimes like
Yeah.
you would just get a deluge of missions. You're like, I don't know what I want to do or whatever. It just feels a little more organic now, uh, and
Mm,
it just feels better. I don't know. And the other thing I want to talk about is the optimization on this game is insane. Like it's so insane that it gets to like it doesn't look like a compromised version like The Witcher 3 did, I'll say. It looks
mm,
like a great version of the game, just not the highest quality version that you could be
yeah.
playing. And
Yeah.
it shocks me how well it runs. I still get crashes on the PS5 whenever I played it. this game just doesn't crash. It doesn't have problems. Like it is optimized better than almost
Dang.
any version of this video game. It crashes on PC sometimes. Like it's just like it is a game that
Yeah.
just crashes systems. It is a demanding
Yeah, when
game or
I
whatever.
played it through after 2.0, and I loved it, by the way, because I had played it maybe 15, 20 hours, and I liked it a lot, but it just wasn't quite
Hmm.
my thing. I thought the 2.0 changes were just what I want. Like, I really loved 2.0 on the PC, but I also every once in a while would get like it would lock up and just crash, and I'd have to
Yeah,
restart. Now, thankfully, it's got a pretty good autosave system. Like, I don't remember
yeah,
ever losing a lot and being super frustrated. But yeah, there was definitely a couple stability things here and there that I don't
yeah.
know. With the big demanding game, you kind of expect that sometimes, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I agree. Especially a big open world game, I just kind of expect wonky things to happen. There's just too many things to
Yeah,
account for. But
yeah.
yeah, it just it plays so well on this thing, and it looks just so good. I again, if you're playing this game for the first time, you're not playing a compromised version. Again,
That's
if you have
awesome.
options, please go play it on PlayStation 5 or a high end PC. You're gonna get all the
Mhm.
bells and whistles and ray tracing and all the 60
Yeah.
frames and all that good stuff. But like feels good at 40 frames. It looks good. I have it on
But if you need the
performance.
convenience of handheld and then sometimes on the big screen, then maybe it is Switch too. Like, if you don't have a Steam Deck,
Being
then
able to
maybe
like
it is
play
the
it like a
Switch
couple
too.
of side gigs like right before I go to sleep is it's dreamy, man. I just love it. I love
Yeah,
that I can just play this game whenever I want to. I could take it to work and
yeah.
play it on lunch break or whatever. Like it's awesome that I can play
That's
such a
so
high
cool.
profile game. And again, you can play it on Steam Deck. You can play it on all your allies stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like they don't look. It looks better on the
I gotta
Switch.
tell
It
you, I
performs
played
better. It just
Cyberpunk on the
does.
Steam Deck, and I was like, "Nah, I can't play it this way." It was
Yeah,
kind of
I don't want to play it
muddy,
like this.
and
And I thought
also
it
it
was gonna
killed the battery super fast.
I thought it
So,
was gonna look like that, honestly. Like, and it just doesn't. It looks really good and sharp and
mm,
bright and colorful, and it moves well and it performs well.
dang.
And again, the optimization I can't just sing enough praises about. So, uh,
Yeah.
I don't need to tell people to go get this game. It's the second best selling game on the Switch marketplace right now, so it's
Yeah.
doing fine, you know.
It is.
Yeah, it is a very 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 good video game. And what I thought
Yeah.
I was gonna just check in and be like, yeah, I'll play like 5 hours. Like, I'll get through like the heist, the first heist or whatever. I am 30 hours into this game and about to get to Phantom Liberty here if I want to start that. So
Yes.
it just and that's why I moved it up my list. I'm like, this game just traps me every time I jump into it. I'm like, yeah, let me just diddle it real quick. 80 hours later,
Dude,
I'm through another playthrough of
I'm
it.
the same way with certain games. That to me too, man. Like, I just got
Yeah,
sucked back into Elden Ring because my son's playing. He got to
yeah,
the
doesn't take
he is
much.
at Melania and the end boss. Those are the two main bosses he has left in the main game. He's tried them both a few times and hasn't finished the game yet. But went ahead and I added on Shadow of the Erdtree on the PS5 version of the game that he's playing, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's playing through all that. And he just beat Mesmer. He just beat this guy that's up on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? This guy.
Yeah, there he is.
Um,
Yeah.
and so as he's playing through it, it's making me want to. So I dove back into it and was playing some more Elden Ring.
Yeah.
But like, we all have those games that are like, oh crap, I'm gonna play it again. All right,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
want
and
to
I
play
knew
it again. All
better.
right,
I knew like you're not gonna play 5 hours this game. You're silly, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, I just embraced it. I don't care. Everyone's
yeah,
gonna
man,
see when they log on. They'll look at my profile and go, "Oh, he put 30 hours in a Cyberpunk art. Hasn't he played this game before?" Yes, it's my sixth run through. Okay,
dude,
like I like this
I
game.
can
Yeah,
relate so much to this because Elden Ring is to me what Cyberpunk is to you. It's just that game that like it does everything I want a video game to do, and it just feels
yeah.
great. It feels like become also comfort food. Not saying it's easy or not complex
No, but
because
yeah,
it
stuff like
is,
that can be. It's just like it's
but
the thing that you
I
want and crave.
love it. Yeah. So I totally can see that. I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm tempted to double dip on that because I didn't spend a lot on it. It was on a really good sale on Steam when I got it.
Hmm.
So I am tempted to kind of double
This
dip.
is one that will go on sale at some point too. Like
Absolutely.
Cyberpunk,
Cyberpunk
CD
and
Project
Witcher have
Red.
seen great sales.
Yeah, CD Project Red
So
loves their sales, and they'll push sales on this quick once it stops, being the second, highest selling thing on the marketplace.
yeah, that's
So,
true.
like, once it drops down a few places, they'll be like, "All right, 39.99, let's do it."
Yeah.
Maybe that's the time to
Yeah.
pick it up then.
Yeah. I agree. That's good.
Yeah.
Anything else you've been playing?
No, I mean, I could talk about every Switch game that I've been diddling or whatever, but like those are
Hmm.
the two ones I've been playing the most. I'm still playing all the
Yeah.
games that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Some more than
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm those are the two big ones I've been spending the most
Yeah. I'm
time
still
with.
loving Mario Kart World. We play that,
Yeah,
relatively regularly as a family, and sometimes I'll even play it solo.
Did we?
My
I don't
boy,
know if we. I think we brought it up, but the music in this game is the best music that Nintendo's ever put out.
it's
I think.
really good. I
Yeah,
actually,
I
it's
think.
funny. My daughter wanted to play it. She's 5, and I give her like this old. It's not. It's like a third party controller. It's kind of beat up a bit that I use on the
Yeah.
Switch, and I got that to eventually connect to Switch 2. So I'm letting her use that, and I stepped out of the room. I was doing something else, and then I hear the music of one of the tracks kick on, and I was like, "This music is amazing. What is this?" But
So
like,
good.
the music is, it just catches your attention, and
Well,
sometimes it
so
just feels like
varied.
Mario Kart music, but every once in a while
Yeah.
you're like, "What is
There's
this
something.
track?
There's really
Holy!"
very experimental sometimes. Like it's just they
Yeah,
really go for it. Sometimes it's cultural. Like you'll be in like
yeah,
a sand level and you'll hear like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
indigenous
Uh-huh.
instruments to that area and stuff like that. And I don't I they just went for it with the soundtrack. There's like jazzy tunes. There's like renditions of songs you're familiar with, but in a new way. I they really went for it. I love the music in this game.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Yeah, I've been playing that, and then like you said, like there's other ones that I've just tried out here and there. My kids are kind of diving back into Dead Cells a little bit too, and that makes me want to do another
Hmm.
Dead Cells run. That game is
Oh, it's a
just
good time.
phenomenal. But anyway, yeah, those are the main things I'm playing. As far as, and I don't have much with watching, so I'll let you wrap it up with what you're watching. For us watching, it's mostly, I mean, we've done some like family movie nights. We're watching stuff like the Now You See Me movies. There's a third one coming out this fall, and they're kind of those
Mm,
fun magic heist movies. They're
yeah, star
uh,
studded. Yeah.
great casts. Very like, not, it's not at all even close to realistic. Think Ocean's
No.
11, where it's just quip and like quick thing that happens
Yeah,
to
but
go
like their magic
perfectly. And
is like magical sometimes. Where you're like,
oh yeah,
there's
the
no
magic
way,
is special
Yeah,
effects that aren't
yeah, yeah,
possible. Yeah,
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 yeah. They're pulling tricks that
um,
are just like, come on, But like that's what's
yeah.
fun
But that's
about
what
it.
makes it fun.
Yeah.
So we watched a couple of those. I'm going through the Dark Knight movies with my boys. We finished
Oof,
the Dark
some of the
Knight,
best. Some of the best.
and they had never seen it before. So like, we're just quoting Joker lines left and right, and kind of rehashing some of those favorite scenes. And so Um, we are going to watch Dark Knight Rises, but they're not as excited about that one. They're like, oh, they're just so bummed the Joker's not in it. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
with you. I hear you. Like,
I
I
hear
get
you.
it.
I
I get it.
really like Rises a lot though.
Rises
It's
is great.
great.
It's
It
not to the
was
level of Dark Knight, but that's a hard
No,
comparison to
no,
make for
but
any
like
movie.
he went for an epic template. What I mean when I say
Yeah.
epic, like that I see why he wants to do the Odyssey now
Yeah.
because like he did an epic back then with superheroes. Now he wants to do the
Yeah.
epic with the Odyssey.
That's right.
So
The only thing that to me was missing for Rises, and I'm sure there's other things, but the thing that stands out to me is I felt the final confrontation felt half baked. And that was just the way
Mhm.
like, as I've rewatched, there's something about it's daylight, fighting in the crowd, and just the way the fight goes down, the way it ends. I'm not saying it wasn't well choreographed or anything like that. Like, it was fine, but something about it just, I don't know what it is. I just feel like there was could have been a better way to do that final confrontation between
I
Batman
hear
and
you.
Bane. And
I hear you.
I don't know what it would have been. I'm not saying I have a better idea. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it felt like it kind of went down at the end a bit, even though I still loved it overall.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
I
good.
would say the high point for me is definitely when they fight and he breaks his back and like just the
Dude,
dialogue,
the
the
sewer
way it's
fight
shot.
is
It's so
unbelievable.
good. Oh, and just his
It's
speech.
terrifying.
He's just like, oh,
Terrifying.
he's so menacing, and all the stuff that
Yeah.
he say, I quote all the time because it's so good,
Same
But
here.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that scene quite a
The
bit.
"Oh, you think darkness is your ally" is one of my favorite
Yeah,
things to say.
uh,
Like, just trying to
I was but a child when I saw.
yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
What's gonna
so
break
good.
first, your mind or your body?
"Oh, your body." Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
your
So good.
Yeah, it's so
Uh-huh.
he's chewing scenery. And I like the opening stunt that they do, which they really did. They really suspended a
That
real
plane
airplane
thing.
in midair, and like, it's so good. Like
Kyle, what
it's
if we
him.
find out later that one of the guys who's masked up and you never see his face is Tom Cruise the whole time? Because he just wanted to be up there in the
Uh,
plane,
yeah, that's
doing
right.
this. Yeah, he just
Stunt
likes to do the
master Tom
stunts.
Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just likes to do that stuff. And, what have you been watching? You said you've been watching a lot of movies.
Yeah, I actually went to the theaters a couple times this week, so that means I won't go for another year because 2 times in
Of
1 week is
course.
insane.
Of
Everyone still
course.
sucks and everyone talks during movies, so if you're wondering if that's still a problem, yes, people just gab, 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 gab. I actually had to like turn around and go, "Can you shut the fuck up?" Like to somebody
You
at the.
had to give him
I've
one of
never done
those?
that in my entire life, And like they were young, they were like teenagers, like they just like
Dude, it's because
immediately
they're
shut
used to
up.
watching in their homes and just talking while it's
Yeah,
on.
well,
You
yeah,
know what I
on their
mean?
phone, like, and they were taking
Yeah.
selfies, and you could see the camera flash, and I'm like, dude, I would halfway through this movie, I turned around, and I just was so furious, and like they were really
Yeah.
respectful. Like after I said something, I didn't
They
hear a
stopped.
peep from them. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, because going to the movies is an experience for sure. But I went and saw Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff movie
Oh,
with Anna de
nice.
Armas. Good. Like, especially for a movie with a lot of like behind the scene troubles. This movie was supposed to come out like
Yeah.
4 years ago. Like they went through myriad of reshoots. The director sucks. He's not a good director. It's everything was working against this movie. This guy hit over his weight class. He did a good movie, and there are some great action sequences with some very unique weaponry. Where
Nice.
it's just like the John Wick curses. How many different ways can you shoot someone in the head? It's like they definitely found some new ways to kill people in this movie. There's a
Yeah.
sequence where she uses only grenades the entire time, and like
Okay, that's
when you think
awesome.
about it, you're like, grenades, is that cinematic? Yes, it's very
Yes, it
cinematic.
is.
It's incredible. The deaths are insane, laugh out loud insane in some cases.
Yeah.
And then in the trailers they showcase like a flamethrower, and it's exhilarating. Like there's a flamethrower fight, and it's just like it's exhilarating. It's fun. Not as good as John Wick.
Yeah.
I would say it's very guerrilla like the first one. So if like you like John Wick one a lot, like this feels a lot like that.
Does she use
In terms
mostly
of the way it's
guns,
shot.
or is she doing a lot of hand-to-hand combat where you have to kind of
Yes,
swallow the
all of it.
reality
She's
of
using
a
guns. Yeah, she's using
You know,
guns, but
here's
like
why I
they had.
ask that, because there are times when I'm watching, even if it's well choreographed and an actor
Yeah.
that I love, when you get a 110-pound girl taking down a
Yes.
250-pound guy with one punch or a little karate chop to the back of the neck, I'm like,
There
I
is
immediately
a.
have trouble.
It is baked into the story where it's like you're always going to be less strong than the
Weaker,
person you're
smaller.
fighting.
Yeah.
You're always going to be weaker. You're always going to be smaller. And like that is a
So
big
you
part of like her training, and like the
see
way that they
that's
train.
that's intriguing. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So they actually address that fully. Another one of my movies is a good analog or comparison to this movie is Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron, where like
Yeah.
that movie's great and she's a badass. She gets her ass kicked in that movie. Like it is
Never saw that one.
very realistic in the way that like if a dude just punched a woman in the face, a 110-pound woman in the face, like she's not bouncing back from that immediately. And like I think that this
Right.
movie and that movie does a really good
Yeah, they're
job
not trading blows. You know what I mean?
no, like they have to
Yeah.
be smarter and more
I think
agile
that's
and
why I
like
loved the Tomb Raider game we talked about a while ago, the 2013
yeah,
reboot, where it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Laura Croft has to find a way, and when she does,
Yeah.
it's like stunning to her. And anyway, that's why I love
Yeah,
that game
absolutely.
so much.
And so Ballerina was very fun, and I was excited for this movie. But like, I'm very in tune of who directors are and their pedigrees and their past. And this guy
Okay,
sucks. And this is the best movie he's put out. So it shocked me how good
good. Yeah,
it
the
ended
reviews
up
on it are
being.
overwhelmingly good from what
They're
I've
very
seen.
good.
Not like
Yeah,
perfect,
this
but
is
very, very good
this is
reviews.
me not making an excuse for a series that I like. This is a hit. Yeah, it is a hit. The other movie I saw was 28 Years Later,
Oh
another
gosh, I want to see
series
this so
I
much.
absolutely love. I just want to warn people that this is a very unconventional movie. You are not walking into like a zombie movie that like you're not going to see the movie you think you're going to go see. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to give anything away. I don't even think I could give it away. At the heart of it, it is a very simple story about a kid who's trying to find a doctor for his sick mother. And At the heart of it, it's a very simple story, but just the way that it's shot, the music choices, the structure of it all, it's just weird in a good way. I give it a 4.5 on Letterboxd. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's a hit
Dang.
with critics, which I didn't see the reviews until I walked out of the movie, and I was like, "Oh, people are going to hate this movie." And I went and saw, the critics, and I was like, "Oh, people love this movie." So just goes to show you, I never really know how the masses or
Yeah.
journalists or reviewers are ever going to take anything. I'm very out of tune with that,
What a
apparently.
cast! I'm looking at the cast here too. Wow,
Yeah,
that's quite a
yeah.
cast.
It's really good. It is a two-parter, so it's like this is. I think they shot them kind of semi back to back. So it's like don't feel like you're going to get like the whole picture with this movie. So maybe manage your expectations that you're walking into a movie that is going to take two parts to play. Not unlike the
So is it going
newest
to be
like
called
Spider-Verse.
28 Years Later Part 2 or a new
I
title?
don't think so. It's probably just going to be. I think it's called 28 Years Later, like the Bone Temple, which they introduce at the end of this movie. What the Bone Temple
So
is.
it'll
So
have like a subtitle as the second movie for
yes,
this.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And this is Danny Boyle back, the guy who did the first movie and the writer
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
first movie. My
He hasn't
favorite
done a
writer.
horror in a little while, right? I
Not in a
mean,
while, no. But the writer is Alex Garland, who
Oh,
did
dang.
Warfare this year. He's done all the best sci-fi movies like Annihilation. He did the Dread movie. He's written a lot of Danny Boyle movies. He's a very, very, very good writer, and they crafted a very cool experience that really explores themes of like death and stuff like that.
Wow.
And you're like, yeah, Kyle, it's about a zombie movie. Of course, it's about death. It's like this movie is way more philosophical than any other like zombie movie that you've probably seen before, and it's very unique. And I'm really interested to see outside of reviewers like how the masses take this one because it's very, very, very unconventional. So
You got me looking at
uh,
some of Danny Boyle's movies, and I have loved almost all the ones I've seen. Like, I thought 127 Hours with James Franco was
yeah,
unbelievable. That was really. I know a lot of people don't love it. It's fair, but I loved Slumdog Millionaire. I
that
thought that
movie
was a
won.
brilliant movie.
People like that. That movie is an Oscar winning movie. Yeah, that's a
I
very,
know
very,
that
very good
a
movie.
lot of movie connoisseurs scoff at that
Yes,
one for whatever reason.
that yeah, that it does get scoffs by some reviewers.
Speaking
You're
of like
absolutely
the
right.
pretentious takes on things, to me that's the pretentious that is negative. It's when you have a pretentious opinion that like you like that,
Yeah,
like
how
that's
do
when
you
it starts
like
to bother
that?
me.
Yeah, Slumdog Millionaire. Come
Anyway,
on.
I love that movie. I think it's super
I think
sweet
it's great.
and
I think it's fantastic.
brilliantly
It's
filmed.
one of the few times I
Um,
was just like, yeah, it deserved the awards that it got. Whereas sometimes movies
and
get
of course, the
elevated to a
28
point.
movies that Days and Weeks, I those were both super compelling. And then Sunshine, I forgot he did Sunshine. I loved
I
that
love that
movie.
movie. That movie is the dumbest movie on paper. What if the sun goes out? We need to
Yeah,
nuke it, and it's
but
like that's
it's
dumb, and it's so
as that
good.
part of it, it's the characters, it's the character development and what
Yeah.
happens with the characters
Well,
that
and they
makes it
explain
so
it really
intriguing.
well. Like, there's a lot of
They
science
do.
going into it
You're
too.
right.
It's just
You're
like,
right.
but like, don't get like stuck up on like how dumb the premise is. That movie is absolutely spectacular. Another star-studded movie. Every person in that movie is a huge major actor now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a fantastic. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever. I love that movie.
Looks like the first one of his that I ever saw was one that didn't get good reviews, but I remember liking it when I was in college when I watched it. The Beach.
Yeah, I like The Beach too. Yeah, to this day, he says it's his most expensive movie because Leonardo DiCaprio took up like half of the budget of that movie because
Well,
he
he was
was just off of
coming,
Titanic. He was
yeah,
just off
like
of
within two
Titanic. He
years of
was
Titanic.
the
So yeah,
biggest like actor, in the world. So,
yeah, yeah. I liked that movie.
and yeah, people don't like that
But
movie. I like it too, though. I am a fan. Alex Garland wrote that movie too. Alex Garland's written most of his movies, so
Alex Garland, dang,
they're
I
a good
didn't realize
team.
he was
Yeah,
that prolific of a writer. I knew
he's
he
been
was. I
around
just
for
didn't
a
know it was that.
while. Yeah,
Dang. That's awesome. That's a good
Ex
time. Those are
Machina.
good
Go check it
movie
out.
recommendations. I do want to
Yeah,
see. I know there's other new ones out. I want to go see Elio. The new Pixar one's getting great reviews, so I want to
yeah.
go see Elio. Take the kids to go see that at some point, hopefully. I have no interest in the live action remakes of anything, and that's not to diss
Me neither.
anybody or
Yeah,
anything. I'm not making a
I'm
cultural statement here. I'm just saying, like, whether it's Snow White or How to Train Your Dragon, I don't really need a live action
I don't
version of
want it.
these
Yeah,
things.
I'm glad
Um,
they exist because like they do well enough, and like, it gets people in the door to like experience movies that maybe we grew up with and stuff like that. That's great, and I'm
yeah,
not also poo pooing it either. Where I'm like, I'm not seeing it because of this reason. I don't care.
yeah.
I've seen it. I don't care. Yeah, like
I just don't need to see it.
I hear How to Train Your Dragon is literally like scene for scene, like it's like brick for brick the same movie, is
That
what I
seems
heard.
odd to me, but all right,
Yeah, I think they changed maybe the
okay,
ending or something, but like it's pretty much the same movie. Like Aladdin was,
yeah.
basically the same movie, and I don't care.
But I'll
Yeah,
tell you the one that
whatever.
I really want to see, and it doesn't seem like it's a must see in theaters. Outside of like, I want to see Mission Impossible in theaters. I think I might only have a few more weeks left before that's gone from every theater, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Ticking time clock.
But I really want to see when it comes to streaming, The Life of Chuck with Tom Hiddleston.
Me
Looks
too.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm a. I like this renaissance of good Stephen King movies. So
Yeah.
yeah. I really want to see this, and I think Flanagan did this movie, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he's been the one who's been doing all the recent good Stephen King
Wow,
adaptations.
good call out. That is Flanagan. Yeah, and I've of course loved his the vampire one. Uh,
It's my favorite. That's my favorite TV show, maybe ever. Like I think
yeah,
that show is so fantastic, and like
so good.
I didn't know that most of us didn't know it was about vampires when you watched
Oh
it,
yeah,
and that
sorry. We
like
won't. Don't say the name of
no,
it.
no,
Don't
no,
say the
that
name of
show's
it.
so old. Yeah, whatever. It's so old. But like when they reveal it, I'm like, get the f out of here. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. I like that show so much. I like
Even knowing that though,
Usher a lot
I
as
think
well.
it's still a good show. Even knowing that, but you're right. Learning
No, I
that
don't think
was a
it
big part
diminishes
of it.
at all. If you somehow get surprised, great, but like it doesn't take away at all.
Yeah.
You have never seen a show like this before about that
No.
creature.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, Kyle. Any last things you've been experiencing you want to share before we wrap up?
I think that's it, man. Yeah, well, just
Been
playing
a
a lot of
busy
Switch
time.
and trying to watch some movies.
Trying not to occupy all our time with MMOs and simulator games, but what can you do?
I know.
You know?
Yeah, they really want to move in and be your only thing, and I just won't let you. You're a casual girlfriend right now. Like
I mean, you're not
I
wrong.
don't, we're not fully committed. Like I
Yeah,
got other things I need to do.
totally agree. Well, if you haven't yet, go check out. There's some sales on Steam for stuff. I think Team 17 right now has a big sale, so I would recommend stuff like Dredge is part of
Dredge is
that.
amazing.
Dredge is like
Yeah.
half off. That one's on there right now. Golf with your friends if you want some good multiplayer fun. That's really cheap. So there's a couple really fun ones on there that like the escapist games are super cheap right now. So
Hmm.
anyway, go give those a whirl. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one when we talk Death Stranding. It's gonna get weird.
Yeah. It's just gonna be me going. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
It's gonna be super weird. Can't wait. All right.